Chapter 697. Bang! The body of the devilish young man fell into the sea and landed at the bottom of the sea. Wang Xian moved his body and entered the sea. The surrounding monsters disappeared and Ao Qitian and Ao Jian followed closely into the sea. It's a pity that it's not one of the two devilish middle-aged men. Wang Xian stood at the bottom of the sea and looked at the body. He was slightly disappointed. However, there's no rush. With Ao Yao Yao around, the ambush and assassination can be almost 100% successful, even if the opponent is a middle-level immortal. Wang Xian waved his arm and the interspatial ring in the devilish young man's hand flew into his hand. There are really a lot of treasures. Wang Xian was slightly surprised. There were a total of 3 blood-red daggers. Including the 2 that were thrown out just now, there were a total of 5 daggers. All 5 of them were grade 13 daggers and were extremely sharp. After the collision with their spirit swords, a gap appeared on his 5 spirit swords. Apart from the 5 grade 13 daggers, there were also many metal materials. All of them were grade 13. There were very few elixirs and the like. There were only some healing spiritual herbs. In this world, it was obvious that there were more materials for spirit tools while various types of spiritual herbs were rarer. There were not even a single medicinal pill. There were no alchemists in this world. Let's go. Let's change positions. Wang Xian kept the corpse into his interspatial ring and said to Ao Jian and Ao Qitian. Yes. Ao Jian and Ao Qitian nodded. I'm afraid that they will know about the disappearance of the demonic young man very soon. I don't know when that time comes. Wang Xian mumbled as his eyes revealed a hint of coldness. The disappearance of an immortal god would definitely cause them to feel fear. After all, it was better to lose an immortal god than to lose 1,000 infant stage warriors. They should be moving together next. It will be troublesome to assassinate them again. Let's kill another one before they discover us. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he looked around. Time is of the essence. The most obvious spot is on the left. There is an immortal god among the black birds in the sky. It's a pity that it's not the 2 demonic middle-aged men. However, it's too much of a waste of time to search for the 2 demonic middle-aged men. Moreover, accidents might happen. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows slightly. He moved his body and flew towards the left. He stopped when he was 10 kilometers away from the immortal. The senses of an immortal were extremely terrifying. They could sense any unusual movements within a 10-kilometer radius unless they had concealed themselves beforehand. However, there were more than 10,000 black birds in the sky. The probability of being discovered was rather high. Set up an ambush at the place that she has searched. With the vigilance of the people in the Dingyu world, they will definitely choose the safest route to return after learning that the demonic young man was killed. The route that she took just now is definitely the safest route in her eyes. Set up an ambush when she returns. Although there is only a 50% chance, we can give it a try. Wang Xian's gaze swept across the area that the demonic woman passed by in the sky. He slowly came to the bottom of the sea and waited quietly. He waited for the woman to return. He wasn't sure if the woman would take this path, but he could only take a gamble. The Dingyu world wasn't very big. With the speed of an immortal god, once he was discovered, it would take less than a minute for all the immortal gods to rush over. Within a minute, Wang Xian was confident that he could assassinate one immortal god, but he would definitely be targeted by the other 4 immortal gods. Currently, with the strength of the 2 middle-aged men, even if it was 4 against 4, they did not have the slightest chance of winning. The 2 middle-aged men were gods. Ao Jian and Ao Qitian had to join forces to barely be able to fight against them. It was obvious that Ao Yao could not deal with 2 of them. In a 4-on-4 situation, they might be killed. He could not take the risk. He would only take action when he was fully prepared. All of you, be prepared in the surroundings. Once you enter our range, activate the formation. If you are a little far away from us, give up. Wang Xian reminded the surrounding strange demons. It's the Dragon King. The four strange demons holding the formation jade disc nodded. They came to the surface of the sea and waited quietly. It's too difficult to kill an immortal-level existence. Wang Xian sighed slightly. He stood in the middle of the sea and calmed his mind. Time passed slowly. The immortals from all directions were searching carefully. The range of their search was very wide and fast. With the puppets and the strange black birds, they could search an area of nearly 20 kilometers in one go. You can find any clues? 2 hours later, a voice suddenly came from the north. The voice echoed throughout the entire Yuding world. No! No! A cold and charming voice sounded. They frowned and scanned their surroundings. The Yuding world was not big, but it was not small either. Even if they were immortals and gods, it would be difficult for them to search every corner. Young demon, what about you? At this moment, at the northern end of the world of the Cauldron of You, Blood Arrow heard that there was no response from young demon. He frowned and shouted again. His voice sounded once again in the entire world of the Cauldron of You. The Snow Demon and the Bewitching Woman also raised their brows. Their eyes flickered as they stood on the spot. Young demon. After more than 10 seconds, there was still no reply. This made Blood Arrow slightly stunned. He growled in a deep voice and shouted again. Not good, let's return to the island and gather. There was still no reply. The Snow Demon's expression changed as she shouted loudly. Go! The Bewitching Woman also felt her scalp go numb. The young demon had actually lost contact. The result was very likely that he had been killed. That old pervert, the young demon, is even stronger than me. The Bewitching Woman's eyes flickered as her eyes were filled with vigilance. Her figure moved and she returned to her original path at a terrifying speed. She didn't even bring along the strange black cries around her. Boom! Boom! She waved her arm and the human skull staff appeared in her hand. The demonic aura around her body condensed into a powerful defense. With her vigilance, she didn't step into the area that she hadn't searched earlier. Instead, she returned to her original path. She's here. When Wang Xian heard the voice, he held his breath. When he saw the woman who was full of vigilance and had even set up a defense around him, a glint flashed across his eyes. She's really vigilant. However, it's also because of your vigilance that she took your life. Wang Xian looked at the woman who was flying over quietly and shouted softly, Do it! Buzz! In an instant, the woman's figure appeared above them. At this instant, the concealment formation was activated. Wang Xian and Ao Jian and Ao Qitian attacked at the same time. Everything happened in an instant. The terrifying attacks of the three of them caused the expression of the woman in the sky to change drastically. Oh no, they are lying in wait for me. Hurry over. Chapter 698, Oh no, they are lying in wait for me. Hurry over. The Bewitching Woman let out a sharp voice and shouted angrily. It's too late. Wang Xian revealed a cold expression. The attacks of the three of them arrived in an instant. You guys. The Bewitching Woman felt that her voice was blocked by a layer of energy. Her expression was extremely ferocious. She waved her arm and the human skull staff in her hand was swung forward. Evil ghosts devour gods. Hiss! 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 One by one, the evil-looking human skull staff emitted ferocious ghost shadows. The terrifying energy attacked Wang Xian and the rest. Boom! Wang Xian's spiritual sword dispersed the ghost shadows formed by the demonic aura. The ocean-pacifying divine needle and Ao Qitian's sword attacked the woman. Ah! A ferocious look appeared on the evil-looking woman's face. She resisted the attacks of Ao Jian and Ao Qitian. She spat out blood instantly and fled into the distance. Can you escape? Wang Xian's expression did not change. 5 spiritual swords charged towards the demonic woman in an instant. Ao Jian waved his arm and golden silent longswords appeared in front of the demonic woman. Boom! Ao Qitian held a terrifying ocean-pacifying needle that was 200 meters in size and smashed it towards the demonic woman. The attacks caused the demonic woman's expression to change drastically. Her eyes revealed a look of panic. Young demon was killed by you guys? She let out a shrill scream. The human skull staff in her hand spun rapidly around him. The demonic aura on her body formed numerous devil gates to defend herself. The longer she stayed here, the lower her chances of survival would be. Boom! The demonic woman forcefully withstood Wang Xian and Ao Jian's attack. Under Ao Qitian's attack, her entire arm was deformed. Her entire body was extremely miserable. Buzz! However, the bewitching lady's eyes were filled with intense excitement. She rushed out of the formation and escaped. Save! She raised her head. Her eyes were filled with madness as she opened her mouth to cry out for help. At this moment, despair appeared on her face. No wonder, no wonder. The bewitching lady widened her eyes and stared at the strange demon beside her. Her eyes were filled with unwillingness. Bang! The bewitching lady fell toward the bottom of the sea. Wang Xian waved his arm and made her fall onto the surface of the sea. Then, he kept her in interspatial ring. Wang Xian stood on the surface of the sea with a smile on his face. There are already 2 of them. I'm afraid they are already panicking. Dragon King, it might be a little difficult to assassinate them next. Ao Jian said with a slightly solemn tone. There's no rush. We'll wait here. I don't believe that they will never act alone. The corner of Wang Xian's mouth curled up slightly. Even if they really gather together, we'll wait until Yu Ding appears and Prime Minister Gui is added. If there are sufficient resources, another immortal god will appear in the Dragon Palace and we can attack them directly. Snow Demon and Blood Arrow were the leaders of the 2 immortal sections. The other immortal gods were weaker than them. Furthermore, according to the information he obtained, in the 10 years when tens of millions of people were raising Gu, 2 old men were the ones who advanced to become immortal gods. Clearly, those 2 old men were only inferior immortals. If there were 6 immortal gods, Wang Xian could attack them directly and kill them directly. Let's play with them slowly. Wang Xian said with a cold gaze. So what if they were immortals? Even if they were high and mighty and controlled the lives of tens of millions of people. However, if they provoked him, they would have to pay a heavy price and pay with their lives. Go to the island and find a place to hide. Now, they definitely won't dare to search anymore. The corner of Wang Xian's mouth curled up slightly. He moved his body and flew toward an island. At this moment, everyone was standing at the location of the 6 islands. Above one of the islands, the Snow Demon and Blood Arrow were standing in the air. Their expressions were extremely gloomy. Huff! Huff! At this moment, the silhouettes of 2 old men appeared. Their faces were filled with shock. Something happened to young demon. It's possible. Snow Demon's face was gloomy. His entire body was shrouded in demonic chi. Only his blood-red eyes were filled with a brutal expression. If it were 2 lower-level immortal gods, it would be impossible to kill young demon. Unless there are 3 of them. Furthermore, we didn't sense any energy from the fight. They might have used a method to block us. An old man said with a gloomy face and flickering eyes. They only dared to launch a sneak attack. They must be weaker than us. The 5 of us will search together and search from the weakest part of the array to the inside. As long as they are still here, we will definitely be able to find them. Blood Arrow held a blood-red demonic longbow in his hand. Even if we have to turn the world of the Cauldron of You upside down, we must kill them all. The 2 elders fell silent for a moment. The killing intent in the Snow Demon's body seemed to be corporeal, making people feel extremely cold. Why isn't Honging here yet? Blood Arrow suddenly widened his eyes and looked in the direction where the demonic woman was searching. The expressions of the few people changed drastically as they fixed their gazes on her. A trace of fear flashed through their eyes. "Hong Ying!" An elder shouted in a deep voice. His voice resounded throughout the entire world of the Cauldron of You. No one responded. There was no sound. Who? The two elders' breathing was heavy. They were originally the weakest of the six. Now that Hong Ying and the young demon, who were stronger than them, had disappeared, it was obvious what would happen to them if they were the ones who were attacked. A faint sense of panic surged into their hearts. The two elders exchanged a glance and looked at Snow Demon and Blood Arrow. What should we do now? What should we do? Snow Demon and Blood Arrow trembled slightly. Young Demon was dead, and Hong Ying had been killed without anyone knowing. Should they search for the unknown powerful enemy? What if the enemy was ambushing them? The two of them did not dare to take the risk, but if they did not find the enemy, wouldn't they have to live in fear in the future? As immortals and gods, as rulers who controlled a small world, they had never encountered such a thing. Assassination. Thinking about how they were best at assassination, they felt that it was a great irony. Don't let me know who you are, don't let me know where you are. The Snow Demon clenched its arms tightly, and its snow-white arms emitted crisp sounds. The enemy is in the dark while I am in the light. Let's go back and think of a way to deal with them for the time being. Blood Arrow slightly narrowed his eyes and said to them. The two old men nodded in agreement. At this time, forget about continuing to search, it was already good enough that they were not assassinated. A special light flashed in the eyes of the two old men as they flew toward their island. The Snow Demon and the Blood Arrow turned into a demonic shadow and disappeared. Below, the people on the island, the disciples of the Jade Hand Immortal Sect and Corpse Chief Dao, watched this scene in shock. Their immortal gods had fallen, and there were two of them. Chapter 699. Two immortal gods have fallen. Now, even Lord Snow Demon and the others have returned to the island in fear. The enemy is simply too terrifying. In just half a day, two immortal gods have fallen. In addition to the elite disciples of our two great immortal sects, the sky of Yuding is about to change. At most, our world will appear in a month. When that time comes, I'm afraid. What kind of terrifying existences are our enemies? Will they come and slaughter us? On the island, the people from Yuding world were conversing with a solemn expression. Not far away, Wang Xian was listening to their conversation with a smile on his face. He walked into a restaurant and ordered some food on the second floor. The food in the restaurant was placed on the table slowly. The entire island was in a state of panic. The death of two immortal gods was much more shocking than the 1,000 strongest experts in Yuding world in the morning. The immortal gods were the masters of this world. Now, two of them had been killed in just half a day. They were afraid that if the other party attacked them, they could only wait for death. Get the strange demon to monitor the two islands at all times. Once they come out, report immediately. Wang Xian drank his wine and spoke to Ao Yao, who was invisible. It's the Dragon King. A voice came from the void. According to the time, the Ding of You will appear in about 10 days. Wang Xian had a contemplative look on his face. With the corpses of two immortals and a large batch of spiritual herbs in the interspatial ring, we should be able to nurture an immortal god. As long as the Ding of You appears, we will attack. Wang Xian's eyes were sparkling as he drank the wine in his cup gently. At night, the 6 islands in the world of the Ding of You were brightly lit. It was not as quiet as a few days ago. Some people gathered together in panic. Wang Xian and the rest stayed in a remote courtyard. Herbs were placed around them. There were more than 50 types of grade 6 spiritual herbs which could be used to refine one type of elixir. Wang Xian refined all of them into elixirs. The rest of the grade 4 and grade 5 spiritual herbs were also refined into elixirs. Perhaps the most dangerous place was the safest place. Wang Xian stayed on the island for 2 to 3 days without anyone noticing. Among them, There was also the reason why the strongest person on the island was an expert at the elixir realm. The snow demon Blood Arrow and the other two old immortals had not come out ever since they entered his island. Wang Xian was not in a hurry. He took out the myriad refining table and began to forge spirit tools. Currently, he had the most materials in his hands. Level 12 spirit tools were made in batches. Boom! Boom! Finally, 15 days later, Wang Xian felt the entire world shake. Sounds of exclamations could be heard from his surroundings. He moved and arrived outside. The world has appeared. The cauldron of you in our world has disappeared. Our world is now connected to the real world. The sky has changed. What action will we take next? There was no notice from the great immortal. Ever since he entered the island half a month ago, he has not come out. Everyone in the Dingyu world felt the changes in the world. They were all discussing in shock. Ao Jian, go and call Prime Minister Gui over. Bring the other two immortal god corpses back to the dragon pool and let the boss of the nine-headed Hui absorb them before bringing them back. Wang Xian's eyes sparkled as he said to Ao Jian. It's the Dragon King. Ao Jian nodded his head. His body moved and he flew towards the dragon palace at a terrifying speed. Now that the world of the Yu Cauldron had appeared, the disappearance of the array formation meant that from today onwards, the world of the Yu Cauldron would also disappear. He could arrive at the Dragon Palace directly from here. The Yu Cauldron has appeared. Why isn't it coming out? Wang Xian looked at the island where the four immortals were located. However, at this moment, on two islands with a 100-meter mountain peak. On one of the islands, the snow demon, Blood Arrow, and two elders were sitting in a large hall. There were only the four of them in the entire hall. It was extremely spacious. The four of them sat there gloomily. The two elders looked at the snow demon and Blood Arrow. Now that Yu Ding has appeared, are we not going out? It's been half a month. The assassins might have already left. Close the island. The snow demon sat there without any expression on his face. He raised his head and looked at the two old men. Now that we've appeared, we don't have the capital to fight for hegemony in the martial world. We'll close the island for 10 years and use 10 years to create a group of powerful subordinates. There's no point in Yu Ding appearing. The Jade Hand Immortals sect and Corpse Chief Dao don't have the strength to fight against the 9 cauldrons. We'll just close the island for 10 years and nurture another group of experts. Blood Arrow's blood-red eyes also had a trace of madness. The two old men's pupils shrunk when they heard their words, their bodies turning numb. In the past 10 years of nurturing GU, although they had broken through to the immortal god realm, their experiences during those 10 years still made them feel terrified when they recalled it. The bloodshed and slaughter were happening every day. Right now, there are only 2 million people. Even after 10 years, we cannot nurture the experts of the past. The two old men said in a deep voice. The star guiding disc can be opened for the last time. With the star guiding disc, in addition to 10 years, it's enough. The corner of the snow demon's mouth revealed a cold expression. Who knows, with the star guiding disc, we might be able to nurture 1 or 2 immortals. Star guiding disc? The two old men's hearts trembled slightly. They nodded heavily, and their eyes flashed with fervor. The star guiding disc was a supreme treasure that the Jade Hand Immortal sect, Corpse Chief Dao, and the upper 9 immortal sects had obtained together. It was also because of this treasure that the 3 of them were able to become immortal sections. It was also because of this treasure that the Jade Hand Immortal sect's Corpse Chief Dao destroyed the upper 9 immortal sections. The opening of the star guiding disc could set up a starry sky. Cultivating under this starry sky would allow one to cultivate at a speed more than 10 times that of the Yu Cauldron. In the past, the star guiding disc would only be used to nurture disciples when the immortal sect was in trouble. When the time comes, I'm afraid that the enemies hidden in the darkness will make a move to destroy it. An old man said with a slightly grave expression. What I want is for them to make a move to destroy it. A ferocious expression appeared on the snow demon's face. They haven't dared to show themselves for a long time. It must be because their strength is inferior to ours. Otherwise, they would have already attacked us. With the star guiding disc, it's fine if they don't show themselves. But if they do, it's exactly what I want. When the time comes, even if they are heavily injured, I will still kill them. The star attraction disc is not only to train their subordinates, but also to lure them out. Such a powerful true treasure, they will not give up. A smile appeared on Blood Arrow's face. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Everything was under their control. Then I will announce it. If they are still here, they will definitely be tempted. We just need to wait quietly. The eyes of the 2 old men flashed with a glint. The Star Usher was also a very powerful true treasure to them. Chapter 700. Have you heard? The immortal god has announced that our Yuding world will temporarily close the island and not come out. His Excellency will take out the Star Guide Disc and let us cultivate. The Star Guide Disc is a cultivation treasure. Really? He really wants us to cultivate under the Star Guide Disc? It's said that the Star Guide Disc is a cultivation treasure. It can form its own starry sky. Cultivating under this starry sky is more than 10 times that of the outside world. It seems that the Star Guide Disc can only be opened for the last time. After this, the Star Guide Disc will disappear. With the Star Guiding Disc, we will be able to reach the peak of the Dan stage in a year's time at most. We might even be able to reach the infant stage. This time, there are too many experts in the Yuding world who have died. The immortal has no choice but to take out his trump card. This is a huge opportunity for us. Wang Xian sat in a restaurant and listened to the excited conversations of the people around him. He knocked on the table gently. Star induction plate, what is this? A cultivation treasure? Wang Xian's eyes flickered. Is this a bait, or? Wang Xian revealed a contemplative look on his face. However, he smiled immediately after. Regardless of whether he was a bait or not, he would be able to break the 10,000 arts by then. Is it here? At this moment, Wang Xian sensed a familiar aura. His body moved and he disappeared from the restaurant. Dragon King. When he arrived at the courtyard, Wang Xian saw Prime Minister Gui and Ao Qi. They greeted him respectfully. Yes. Wang Xian swept his gaze across them. How is the situation in the Dragon Palace? Dragon King, everything is progressing in an orderly manner. The spiritual energy waterfall has allowed many of the aquatic species in the Dragon Palace to step onto the path of cultivation. In addition, 6 more spiritual energy waterfalls have appeared in the Huaxia region. I have already placed your blood essence into the dragon vein. Miss Tang Yinxian has awakened. She has become the Princess Dolphin in name. The dolphins have all awakened their wisdom under the spiritual energy waterfalls. Furthermore, their potential is very strong. In the end, the eldest princess and the Dragon Queen hope that you can return as soon as possible. Prime Minister Gui reported to Wang Xian. Why is Ao Qi here? Wang Xian nodded his head in satisfaction. He looked at the leader of the strange prawns and asked with some doubt. Dragon King, the 9-headed Hui has experienced the baptism of the spiritual energy waterfall and is currently making a breakthrough. According to them, they will be able to make a breakthrough in 3 years at most, or at least 2 years. Prime Minister Gui explained, that's why I allowed Ao Qi to absorb the energy of the 2 immortals in the dragon pond. Sure. Wang Xian nodded. Ao Yao, get someone to check if the star steering wheel is a trap or if it's real. It's the Dragon King. Ao Yao nodded and disappeared. He's about to make a breakthrough. Wang Xian looked at Ao Qi and smiled as he felt the violent lightning energy in his body. Yes, Dragon King. There's still a little bit left. The leader of the 3-meter-long strange prawns had a respectful expression on his face. Let me help you. Wang Xian waved his arm and a surge of dense dragon energy entered Ao Qi's body directly. Crack! Crack! In an instant, a terrifying lightning energy was transmitted from Aochi's body. Prime Minister Gue waved his arm and the earth-like energy covered the surroundings. Lightning kept brewing in Aochi's body. Especially where his two huge arms were, dazzling lightning was flowing on his arms. His two arms started to undergo huge changes. One of them became like a spear, while the other looked like a hammer, an extremely sturdy hammer fist. Crack! Crack! His tail slowly split apart from the black shrimp line, forming two strange feet. This foot also looked like a hammer. The shell on his body slowly covered his chest, and the shell on his back turned into something that looked like wings. But it looked more like a windbreaker. Aoqi's head was pointed, and his eyes were flashing with lightning. It was very strange, but his appearance was very sharp. He had an inexplicable sense of dominance. "Thank you, Dragon King." Aochi stood up slowly. His body was about 2 meters tall. Following that, he immediately knelt on the ground and placed his hammer-like right hand on the ground. Wang Xian was stunned for a moment before a smile appeared on his face. Not bad, not bad. Aochi's body was very domineering. His right hand was a hammer, his left hand was a spear, and his feet were like hammers. Behind him was a lightning shell that looked like a windbreaker. From his appearance, one could tell that Aochi's strength was not weak. At least, he was much stronger than the Thunder God in the movie. Wang Xian smiled. 10 minutes later, Ao Yao's figure appeared beside him. "Dragon King, we have already investigated the matter regarding the star guiding disc. The Jade Hand Immortal Sect and Corpse Chief Path do indeed have such a precious treasure like the star guiding disc. This afternoon, the 4 immortals will open the star guiding disc around their island and open up a space for everyone in Dingyu to cultivate." Ao Yao reported. This star guiding disc can allow more than 2 million people to cultivate in it at the same time. Wang Xian revealed a look of surprise. It is said that the star guiding disc has a radius of 5 kilometers. There are less than 2 million people in it. However, it can last for a year. Ao Yao said. Is there really such a precious treasure? In a year's time, the spiritual energy contained in it is more than 10 times that of the outside world. It is only slightly inferior to the spiritual energy waterfall. However, the duration of the spiritual energy waterfall cannot be compared to it. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he swept his gaze across the 5 underlings beside him. Ao Jian, Ao Qitian, Prime Minister Gue, Ao Yao, and Ao Qi were the underlings of the 5 immortals. Including him, the 4 immortals could fight. Regardless of whether this is a conspiracy or not, all of you must die. Wang Xian looked at the island where they lived, and his face revealed a cold glow. 3 hours passed very quickly. On the 6 islands, everyone from the 2 immortal sects was rushing towards the Immortals Island excitedly. Some of them took ships, while others flew directly. There were more than 2 million people rushing over. Wang Xian and the rest walked at the back. Their eyes were sparkling as they looked ahead. I heard that only 100,000 people can cultivate together at a time. I wonder how the immortal will arrange it. Even if I have to cultivate in there for a month, I feel like I can break through. 2 disciples of the immortal sect came from the front with excited expressions. The immortal god is coming out. The immortal god is coming out. Just as they approached, they heard exclamations coming from the front. 4 tall figures stood in the void. 2 demonic middle-aged men were emitting terrifying demonic chi. The other 2 old men seemed to contain a terrifying ocean. The might of an immortal god spread out in all directions, causing everyone's faces to reveal reverence. 1,000,000 people stood there motionlessly, looking up at their gods. Right at this moment, in the sky, the Snow Demon and Blood Arrow each took out a blue jade plate that was half a month long. Caw! Under everyone's gaze, the 2 blue crescent jade plates fused together. Chapter 701. Boom! A crisp sound rang out. Not a single one of the 2 million people in the surroundings dared to speak, even their breathing was very weak. Everyone stared at the two blue jade plates in the hands of the immortal god. The moment the two crescent jade plates closed, a ray of blue light was directly emitted from within. The light expanded slowly and gradually surrounded an area of 5 kilometers. Gradually, a white aura appeared in this space. This is spiritual energy. What a rich spiritual energy. This star guiding plate is real. A hint of heat flashed in Wang Xian's eyes as he stared at the space of 5 kilometers. Today, we will open the star guiding plate and help the disciples of the Jade Hand Immortal Sect and Corpse Chief Dao to cultivate. All the disciples, cultivate well. Blood Arrow slowly took a step forward. As he stood in the air, he swept his gaze across the surroundings and said while looking down. Thank you, Lord Immortal God, thank you for your grace. The disciples of the Jade Hand Immortal Sect and Corpse Chief Dao stared at the 4 immortal gods in the sky with burning eyes. They immediately knelt on the surface of the sea and on the ship and called out respectfully. More than 2 million people gathered together and knelt down at the same time. What kind of scene was this? It was extremely shocking. This was the dignity of an immortal god. A satisfied expression appeared on the faces of the 4 immortal gods, but soon after, their eyes were filled with a terrifying killing intent. Snow Demon, Blood Arrow, and the 2 elders stared at the outermost position. There, 6 figures stood there. They did not kneel down. Instead, they raised their heads and stared at them with cold smiles. You finally appeared. Damn you guys. Blood Arrow's eyes were filled with a crazed killing intent. With a move of his arm, a blood-red longbow appeared in his hand. It was you who killed Young Demon and Hong Ying. It was you who killed the members of my immortal sect. The blood-red light in the Snow Demon's eyes flickered crazily. The violent killing intent instantly filled the entire sky with demonic aura. Beside them, 2 old men were holding blue magic staffs in their hands. Their eyes were flickering as they stared at Wang Xian and the rest. The sudden murderous aura and terrifying power shocked the 2 million people who were kneeling down. Their bodies were instantly covered in cold sweat and their faces were filled with terror. Snow Demon, Blood Arrow, do you still remember us? Wang Xian stared at the Snow Demon and Blood Arrow in the sky with a smile on his face. Then, he moved his body. Roar! Wang Xian's body instantly transformed into a terrifying divine dragon that was 13 meters long. With a roar, his voice reverberated within a radius of tens of kilometers. A pair of majestic eyes stared at them. Roar! Following that, Ao Qitian, who was beside him, also roared loudly. His body instantly transformed into about 8 meters. His entire body emitted a terrifying demonic aura as he stood beside Wang Xian. We are here for revenge. Prime Minister Gui's eyes revealed a cold expression. His body moved slightly and a turtle shell appeared in his hand. He stared at them with a murderous aura. Clang! The sound of a sharp sword was heard. A dazzling golden glow instantly transformed the entire world into a golden peak world. A terrifying 10-meter-long sword appeared beside him. Crack! Crack! The terrifying power did not stop. The sound of thunder and lightning instantly exploded throughout the world. A terrifying bolt of lightning struck a strange 2-meter-tall creature in the sky. You dare to hurt our Dragon King, die! Die! Ao Yao did not hide his body. His white, bright body stood in the void, flickering as if he could disappear at any time. Although his power was the smallest, it made everyone's hair stand on end, giving people a fatal feeling. The majestic divine dragon that gave off endless majesty. The chaotic demonic monkey that gave off monstrous demonic chi. The old man with the unfathomable turtle shell that could not be ignored. A golden sharp sword that seemed to be able to pierce through the void. A creature that controlled heavenly lightning and had terrifying lightning on its body. There was also a white demon that seemed to be able to escape into space at any time. 6 terrifying auras were staring at him coldly. They were filled with killing intent. It's you, Divine Dragon. How is this possible? Are you still alive? When the snow demon and blood arrow saw the 6 immortals that were emitting terrifying auras, their expressions changed drastically. They stared at Wang Xian intently. Are you surprised? I told you that I will come for revenge. I will kill my way into your world. Wang Xian's gaze was cold as he swayed his majestic body. All of you will die today. When he finished speaking, Ao Jian, Prime Minister Gui, and the rest flew to the surroundings in an instant and surrounded him. 6 immortals, 6 immortals. The snow demon and the blood arrow growled, 6 immortals want to kill us? Dream on. They had never expected that the enemy had 6 immortals. There were 6 of them. In particular, none of them were human. Each of them was exuding a wild and violent aura. Especially the divine dragon in the middle. It was even more powerful than when they had launched a sneak attack not long ago. They had originally wanted to use the star attraction disc to lure them out and then kill them. In the end, just as they had hoped, the person was drawn out. However, it was actually the 6 damn immortal gods. In a battle, it was not certain who would win or lose. Hiss! Beside them, the 2 old men also sucked in a breath of cold air. Their gazes swept over the 6 strange-looking immortal gods with terrifying auras. Their eyes were filled with fear. The 2 of them exchanged a glance. An inexplicable luster flashed in their eyes. We are enough to kill all of you. Wang Xian's eyes flashed with a cold expression as he slowly raised his dragon claw. Prime Minister Gui held the turtle shell in his hand tightly while Ao Yao disappeared into the void. Ao Qitian's pacifying divine needle was held in his hand as it slowly grew longer. The crackling sound of thunder could be heard. Thunder rumbled in the sky from time to time. Kill! Kill the 2 immortal gods of my Yuding world. All the experts, even if you are seriously injured, I will kill all of you today. The snow demon's eyes were blood red as it raised its head and roared. Its voice spread across hundreds of kilometers. Kill! I will make your corpses into my slaves and make you suffer for eternity. The blood arrow instantly drew the blood-red longbow. The battle between the 10 immortals was about to start. Wait, Sir Dragon God! At this moment, the voices of the 2 old men were heard. Wang Xian was slightly stunned as he stared at the 2 old men. The snow demon and the blood arrow stared at the 2 old men. The expressions of the 2 old men didn't change at all. They cupped their hands at Wang Xian and said, Sir Dragon God, we don't have any enmity with you. We don't want to participate in this. Wang Xian was completely stunned when he heard the old man's words. Don't want to get involved? Are you trying to stay out of this? Wind demon, what are you guys talking about? The snow demon glared at the 2 old men with her blood-red eyes and roared furiously. Sect leader of the snow demons sect and sect leader of the blood arrow sect, you guys are the ones who provoked us. Young demon and Honging died because of you. We don't want to be your scapegoats. The 2 elders' faces were cold as they looked at Wang Xian. There was a hint of nervousness in their eyes as they waited for his reply. All right, you guys leave this place. Wang Xian laughed and stared at the snow demon and the blood arrow with a mocking expression. Chapter 702. Thank you for your understanding, Lord Dragon God. The 2 old men cupped their hands at Wang Xian and walked out. Blood Arrow Snow Demon, 10 years ago, you raised Gu with tens of millions of people. Now, you want to raise Gu with 2 million people. Cruel people like you deserve to die. The 2 old men walked out of Wang Xian's encirclement. They turned their heads with cold eyes and flew into the distance without any reluctance. We will not continue to accompany you in your madness. You 2 traitors. The snow demon and blood arrow looked at the 2 figures who flew away without any hesitation and roared with a ferocious expression. The 2 immortals on their side actually ran away. They fled right before the battle. Moreover, before they left, they even said that they deserved to die. This caused the snow demon and blood arrow to almost vomit blood. They stared at the rapidly disappearing figure with a ferocious and violent expression. Hee hee. Wang Xian let out a chuckle. It's just the two of you now. I'd like to see how the two of you are going to escape. The blood-red eyes of the snow demon and blood arrow stared at Wang Xian as their bodies trembled violently. The two of them were fighting against 6 immortal gods. Although their strength had already reached the level of a god. However, the experts of the Dragon Palace immortal gods could not be described with common sense. Under normal circumstances, a god could suppress 4 inferior gods. However, it was already considered good that they could suppress 2 Dragon Palace immortals. 3 immortals could suppress or even kill them. Furthermore, Wang Xian's strength was comparable to a god. Now, I'm going to take your lives. This is the consequence of your sneak attack on us. Kill! Wang Xian roared. His divine dragon body moved and attacked the snow demon directly. Ao Qitian followed closely behind Wang Xian and attacked the snow demon. Prime Minister Gue, Ao Jian, and Ao Qi moved and instantly rushed towards the blood arrow. As for Ao Demon, he had already disappeared into the air. No one knew where he was. He would launch a fatal attack at the most suitable moment. Run! Run! We have to run. Lord Wind Demon and the others have escaped as well. Lord Snow Demon and Lord Blood Arrow are finished. We have to run away from here. We have to run away from the cauldron of you. We have to go somewhere else. We have to go to the Jianghu. Below, when the disciples of the Jade Hand Immortal Sect and Corpse Chief Dao saw the 2 old men leave, they were completely devastated. 6 immortals came to kill their sect leader of the Snow Demon Blood Arrow sect while the other 2 immortals ran away. The consequences of their sect leader's actions could be imagined. All the immortals of the immortal sect were either dead or running away. All the experts of the immortal sect were also killed. Why were they still here if they were not going to run away? In an instant, more than 2 million disciples of the Jade Hand Immortal Sect and the Snow Demon Immortal Sect were running away frantically like ants. Even if I have to die, I will not let you have it easy. The Snow Demon's face revealed a violent expression. Her snow-white arms turned pitch black instantly. She waved her arms, and terrifying demonic chi arms attacked Wang Xian like ghostly hands. Humph! Wang Xian waved his dragon claws. Water energy condensed into dragon claws, and thousands of dragon claws attacked instantly. Roar, take this! Ao Qitian's 10-meter-long ocean-pacifying divine needle smashed heavily at the snow demon. The snow demon's expression changed drastically, and he immediately felt a strong pressure. What made him even more terrified was that the snow-white demon had disappeared into the air, and he did not know where it was. He had to guard against the sudden attack of the white demon. This made him afraid to release all of his power, and he vigilantly sensed his surroundings. Meanwhile, Blood Arrow, who was at the side, was even more terrified. He specialized in demonic arrows, and the demonic arrow in his hand had once pierced through an immortal god. It was incomparably terrifying. What made him terrified was whether it was the old man holding the turtle shell that easily blocked his demonic arrow. Or that terrifying golden color that was sharp and golden, or that lightning creature that caused one's scalp to go numb. Piercing the heart, devouring the god, killing the immortal. Blood Arrow roared and pulled his arm. The blood-colored longbow in his hand instantly shot out 3 arrow feathers that emitted a terrifying demonic aura. Lightning Spear. Ao Qi waved his left hand. His entire arm was instantly covered in lightning, emitting a terrifying explosion sound. The 3 lightning spears directly met the 3 black arrow feathers. Crack, 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 crack. The lightning spears directly pierced through the 3 arrow feathers. The pitch-black arrow feathers actually dimmed at a terrifying speed. In the end, although it didn't melt, the attack power on it couldn't even kill an infant-stage cultivator. Lightning Hammer. Ao Qi's lightning hammer pointed in the air, and bolts of lightning struck out. What powerful lightning control! Prime Minister Gue and Ao Jian revealed a trace of shock on their faces, and they didn't stop what they were doing. Under his control, the 100-meter-tall mountain directly flew into the air and smashed towards the blood arrow. Ao Jian's body moved for a moment. In an instant, numerous metal swords appeared around him. The metal swords were silent and extremely terrifying. In an instant, the blood arrow was suppressed everywhere. Water ripple of the great waterfall. See chaos. At this moment, Wang Xian and Ao Qitian's roars came from the side. The water of the great waterfall rippled and enveloped the area within a radius of 10 kilometers. The snow demon was instantly covered. However, the terrifying demonic aura supported the space of 1,000 meters. However, Ao Qitian was holding the ocean-pacifying needle in his hand, which was used to stabilize the sea. Similarly, there was another terrifying effect, which was the cholera of the sea water. With a wave of the ocean-pacifying needle, the water of the great waterfall rippled violently in one direction. In an instant, Wang Xian's great waterfall was actually able to work together with Ao Qitian. The ocean-pacifying needle attacked the snow demon. With the terrifying power of the seawater, it was as if the entire ocean was being brought down with it. In an instant, the terrifying power caused the snow demon to retreat a few thousand meters. It could not help but spit out blood. Whoosh! However, at this moment, the snow demon felt a great sense of terror. He dodged to the side in fear. Poochie! Ha! He actually managed to dodge his vital parts. Wang Xian looked over and was slightly stunned. However, he smiled immediately after. One of the snow demon's arms was severed. Scram! Die! The snow demon used all of his strength in grief and indignation and attacked the Ao demon. The white light pointed at the void and the Ao Yao disappeared into thin air. The snow demon was stunned for a moment. It felt a sense of collapse and despair. Take this! Ao Qitian roared again. Wang Xian waved his dragon claw and the water energy was attached to the ocean-pacifying divine needle. The energy of the entire waterfall was attached to it. A force that could make immortals tremble smashed towards the snow demon. The only remaining arm of the snow demon was placed in front of him, emitting a black light. Its eyes were filled with despair and fear. Boom! The terrifying power smashed down, and his body was smashed into the island at a terrifying speed, sinking into a depth of 100 meters. He widened his eyes, which were filled with regret. Chapter 703, I'm not reconciled. If I had known, I would have killed all of you even if I was seriously injured. Mournful voices came from the sky above the island. They're dead, they're dead. Lord Snow Monster and Lord Blood Arrow are both dead. Under the siege of 6 immortal gods, the 2 lords cannot escape at all. The enemies they provoked are too terrifying. Let's leave as well. Let's leave this place as soon as possible. When the sorrowful and indignant voice resonated, the faces of the 2 million people who were escaping below were filled with fear. They turned around and took a glance before continuing to flee. Humph! Wang Xian snorted coldly at them. With a wave of his arm, he threw the snow demon and blood arrow, the 2 celestials who were on the verge of death, onto the ground and stared at them coldly. Courting death. With a wave of his arm, 2 water swords pierced through his head. The 2 interspatial rings flew into Wang Xian's hands. He opened them and looked at them with a satisfied expression on his face. The 2 interspatial rings were much bigger than the ones he had on his hands. There were many metal materials in the space with a radius of 2,000 meters. Apart from that, there were 4 to 5 grade 8 spiritual herbs. Grade 8 spiritual herbs were very useful to demigods. In addition, there were 6 grade 13 spiritual weapons in their interspatial rings. 2 spiritual swords with water energy, 3 staffs, and 1 armor. Jade Hand Immortal Sex Combat Technique, Corpse Chief Sex Combat Technique. Wang Xian looked at the 2 pitch-black books and the combat techniques projection. His eyes revealed a hint of surprise. These battle techniques could allow the demon monkey to train for a while. To the members of the Dragon Palace, they would be of great use. Put the two corpses away. This immortal god has treasures all over his body. A smile appeared on Wang Xian's face. The level 13 materials were already more than 10 tons. Most of the treasures in the entire Dingyu world might be among the two of them. Wang Xian raised his head and looked at the star guide disk in the sky. His body moved and came to the side of the star guide disk. Star guide disk, extraordinaire. Function, set up a training ground in the starry sky. Consumable item, can be used 0 times. When Wang Xian saw the information of the star guide disk, he was stunned. What's going on? The level has actually become extraordinaire. What is extraordinaire? Wang Xian's face was filled with astonishment. Extraordinary. This was the first time he had heard of such a level. Extraordinary. Could it be the realm of immortals? Or it's even higher than the realm of immortals? That's not right. With my current strength, I haven't even completed the first transformation of the Divine Dragon transformation. The level of immortals is merely the title of Earth's martial artists. In terms of the cultivation level in the universe, there might be another title. As for transcendence, it is very likely to be the title of the existence after the celestial being. Wang Xian guessed in his heart. Currently, although his realm was called the celestial being, he knew that compared to the legendary immortal beings, they could not be called gods. The lifespan of the celestial beings on Earth was less than 500 years. Forget it, let's not think about it. This transcendence realm is obviously not the division of realms on Earth. Wang Xian shook his head and stopped thinking about this distant problem. Search for any treasures in the mountain peak and take them all. Wang Xian stretched out his hand and took the star guiding disc in his hand. The star guiding disc had already been activated. It would only dissipate automatically after it was used up. Dragon King, there are some spiritual herbs in the herb garden. I plan to take the entire herb garden with me. Other than the herb garden, we found a large number of corpses inside. Many of them were the corpses of infant stage powerhouses. They were used to refine puppets. These can be used as nutrients for the dragon pond. Prime Minister Gui's voice came from below. Alright, take them all away. Let's go back. Wang Xian held the star ushers and said to them. It's the Dragon King. Prime Minister Gui nodded. With a wave of his arm, a medicinal garden with a radius of 2 kilometers flew into the air and was supported by his earthy yellow energy. Let's go. The group of people moved and flew towards the Dragon Palace at a terrifying speed. At this point, the world of the Cauldron of Youth disappeared from the world as soon as it appeared. In the future, the martial arts world would become the legend of the world without the Cauldron of Youth. The Cauldron of Youth was destined to become the only world in the 9 Cauldrons world where the immortal god was destroyed, top-notch experts were killed, and a group of immortal sect disciples escaped. A terrifying world expert had disappeared. What replaced it was the even more powerful Dragon Palace. Voila! When Wang Xian came to the surroundings of the Dragon Palace, he looked around with a face full of astonishment. Around him, a terrifying koan that was about 80 meters long was slowly wandering in the sky. Other than this terrifying koan, there were all kinds of aquatic creatures that were cultivating around the Dragon Palace. The turtles that were standing upright in the water had eyes that were filled with wisdom. They were holding a book in their hands as they explained to the surrounding aquatic creatures. Those aquatic creatures that had gained wisdom, especially those that looked like 5 or 6-year-old children, were respectfully listening to the teachings of these turtles. Wang Xian swept his gaze over and discovered that the strength of many aquatic creatures had already reached the level of a martial artist of level 7 or 8. This surprised him slightly. Dragon King, the spiritual energy waterfall this time has greatly increased the strength of many aquatic creatures. It has also allowed more than 200 aquatic creatures to pass through the Dragon Gate. Prime Minister Gui looked at the situation around him and said to him with a smile. Okay. Wang Xian nodded his head and entered the Dragon Palace. Some of the members of the Dragon Palace were learning some knowledge while others were cultivating. The entire Dragon Palace was in good order. Let's place the star guiding disc at the top of the Dragon Palace first. The cultivation speed in the Dragon Palace should be able to increase tremendously. Wang Xian moved his body and arrived at the top of the ocean-pacifying needle. He placed the star guiding disc on it. In an instant, the star guiding disc covered an area of 5 kilometers. The dense spiritual energy instantly caused streams of white spiritual energy to appear in the entire Dragon Palace. The energy of the star guiding disc can actually stack with the spiritual energy of the Dragon Palace. In other words, the spiritual energy in the Dragon Palace is about 20 times more than the spiritual energy in the outside world. Wang Xian's eyes revealed a hint of heat. Ring, ring, ring. Suddenly, the sound of a zither from the soul entered his ears. He was slightly stunned and looked towards the location of the Dragon King's bedroom. His heart skipped a beat as he sensed the situation inside. A smile appeared on his face. It's true. I didn't realize that I was here. Wang Xian moved his body and came to the bedroom. He said with slight dissatisfaction. Sure. However, what he didn't expect was that Xiao Yu and Lan Qingyue glared at him when they heard his voice. They sat quietly on the bed and looked at Tang Yinxian, who was playing the zither. Wang Xian wasn't in the mood to listen to the zither. He wanted to check on the development of the Dragon Palace and flew out of the bedroom. As he felt the majestic spiritual energy in the Dragon Palace, Wang Xian decided that no matter how the outside world changed, he would cultivate in the Dragon Palace for a year first. Chapter 704, The Great Change in World. Ring, ring, ring. Wang Xian, who was standing in the middle of the Dragon Palace, scanned his surroundings. Suddenly, he heard a beautiful voice. This voice was transmitted directly to the depths of his heart, causing him to feel an involuntary sense of happiness. Wang Xian was slightly stunned. He stood there and listened to the voice slowly. Suddenly, he felt as though his mind had been brought into it. Wang Xian was alert and immediately came out from this state. What is this? How can it infect a person's mind so easily? Wang Xian had a look of astonishment on his face. At this moment, he realized that they were in front of a mountain peak not far away. Hundreds of dolphins were lying there and making the same sound in their bodies at the same time. Although it was not as amusing as the sound that came from the Dragon King's palace, the sound could still stir up people's emotions. Dragon King, this is the special energy of Miss Tang Yinxian and the dolphins. They are able to attack with their voices, and they are also able to stir up emotions with their voices. It's a very powerful technique. At this moment, Prime Minister Gui came to Wang Xian's side and explained to him. No wonder. Wang Xian nodded his head. No wonder Xiao Yu, Lan Qingyue, and the rest weren't excited or happy when he entered. Instead, they asked him not to speak. He shook his head speechlessly. The energy of these dolphins has a very good effect. The water tribe cannot calm down. After hearing the sounds of the dolphins, they can enter the training quickly. Miss Tang Yinxian can even guide them to cultivate with her voice. Prime Minister Gui continued. It's so magical. Wang Xian was astonished. Yes, Dragon King. Miss Tang Yinxian saved our lives. Now, she is of great use to the development of the water tribe of the Dragon Palace. I suggest that you leave her in the Dragon Palace. Prime Minister Gui suggested. All right. Wang Xian nodded. Go and organize the water tribe for a second sermon. Also, the effect of the star induction plate can only last for a year. Let all the members of the Dragon Palace cultivate in seclusion for a year. It's the Dragon King. Prime Minister Gui nodded and went to organize the sermon immediately. Wang Xian moved and came to the bedroom of the Dragon Palace. When he saw the 6 girls who were chattering, he smiled. Brother. Xiao Yu walked over and hugged his shoulder with a smile. You're awake. Thank you for your reminder last time. Wang Xian patted Xiao Yu's head and looked at Tang Yinxian. No need. Tang Yinxian smiled faintly. Have you settled everything? Lan Qingyue walked to Wang Xian's side and asked him. Everything is settled. I obtained a treasure outside and I'm cultivating in the Dragon Palace. The effect is only slightly worse than the spiritual energy waterfall. It can last for a year. If you guys don't take care of things, I'm prepared to cultivate in seclusion in the Dragon Palace for a year. Wang Xian said to them. Cultivate in seclusion for a year? Lan Qingyue and the rest nodded slowly. Sure, Xiao Xian. Great changes are happening in the Huaxia world now. The arrival of the Nine Cauldrons world will have a huge impact on the real world. It will probably be chaotic for a period of time. It has nothing to do with us anyway. Let's just focus on our cultivation. Wang Xian smiled and went to the dragon throne with Lan Qingyue and the rest. He looked at Guan Shuqing who was still unconscious. Xiao Xian, Yinxian said that there might be some problems with Shuqing's soul. Her soul is too weak to support her when she wakes up. We can find some spiritual herbs and elixirs that can strengthen her soul to help her wake up quickly. Another option is to wait for a long time and see if her soul can repair and grow on its own. Sun Lingxiu looked at Guan Shuqing's body and said to Wang Xian. Yes, we'll wait for another year. If she doesn't wake up in a year, we'll bring her to seek medical treatment. Wang Xian nodded slowly. Alright, we'll cultivate here. I don't know if we'll be able to step into the immortal realm in a year's time. Lan Qingyue and the rest said with a smile. I'll organize a sermon soon. I'll start cultivating after the sermon. Wang Xian said. After resting for half a day in the Dragon Palace, Prime Minister Gui informed Wang Xian that all the Water Tribe members had arrived. Wang Xian walked out of the bedroom and scanned his surroundings. He looked at the billions of Water Tribe members. Compared to the last time, these Water Tribe members seemed to be more agile, powerful, and ferocious. They exuded a spirituality. However, when they saw Wang Xian coming out, all of them were extremely docile in an instant. They looked at him in the sky devoutly. Wang Xian transformed into a divine dragon and began his second sermon. The cultivation method and cultivation technique entered the minds of billions of Water Tribe members directly. At the location of the Dragon King's palace, 6 girls were looking at his figure with admiration. The sermon lasted for 2 hours. After that, Wang Xian returned to the Dragon Palace and began his closed-door cultivation. Lan Qingyue, Xiao Yu, and the rest of the girls also began their closed-door cultivation. A heaven-defying cultivation-supporting treasure like the star-guiding disc could not be wasted. The entire Dragon Palace fell into silence. In the Dragon King's palace, Wang Xian and the 6 beauties were cultivating. In other places, all the members of the Dragon Palace were cultivating. Even Prime Minister Gui and Ao Jian. The 9 Hui were entrenched in the Dragon Cave. With the help of the star-guiding disc, they might be able to advance to level 13 in 1 to 2 years. At that time, the Dragon Palace would have 9 more immortals. Even in the world of the 9 cauldrons, they would be able to occupy a place. In addition, the matter of stealing the dragon vein had been arranged before they went into closed-door cultivation. Time passed slowly, and the whole world underwent great changes. 2 months later, the 9 cauldrons world appeared, and countless warriors of the 9 cauldrons world entered the Jianghu. The immortal sects ruled the world, and the 20 immortal sects stood on top of the Jianghu, raising the power of the Jianghu to a terrifying level. The Jianghu was in constant strife, and there was a battle between the immortal sects and the immortal sections. The collision between geniuses and geniuses. The impact between the real world and the 9 cauldrons world. The combination of martial arts and reality. Everything was going on, and even the battle between the immortals and gods had broken out. The sky and earth were dark, and the sun and moon were dim. All of this had nothing to do with the Dragon Palace, which was far away from the conflict. Time passed very quickly. There was no sun or moon in cultivation. A year passed in the blink of an eye. Brother, are we going out? A year later, when the energy of the star ushers dissipated, Xiaoyu hugged Wang Xian's arm excitedly and asked. It's time to go out and take a look. Qingyue, Lingxiu, Yinxian, Qinglan, are you guys going out? Qinglan was Elder Fan's name. His original name was Fan Qinglan. It's time to go home and take a look. Lan Qingyue and the rest nodded their heads. Alright, let's go then. Wang Xian smiled and looked to the side. Ao Yao. I'm here. Ao Yao's figure instantly left the Dragon King's palace. Call 16 infant stage strange demons to follow me out. You follow me out too. It's the Dragon King. Ao Yao nodded. Devil Azure Dragon. 1, I'm here. Call all the members of the Dragon Gate. Let's go out. It's the Dragon King. Chapter 705. After a year of closed-door cultivation in the Dragon Palace, the strength of all the members of the Dragon Palace had undergone a tremendous change. Now, apart from the members who had just entered the Dragon Palace, the rest of the Demon Monkey Clan, Yiksha Clan, Golden Swordfish Clan, Strange Prawn Clan, and Strange Demon Clan had the lowest cultivation base at the dance stage. The Demonic Monkey Clan had 90 Infant Realm Experts, Yiksha Clan, 80 Infant Realm Experts, Golden Swordfish Clan, 70 Infant Realm Experts, and 65 Infant Realm Experts from Strange Prawn Clan. All of the Strange Demon Clan had reached the Infant Realm. Moreover, 15 of them had already reached the half-step Immortal God Realm. Ao Prawn and Ao Nu were also at the half-step Immortal God Realm. Currently, there were more than 480 Infant Realm Experts and 21 half-step Immortal God Realm Experts in the Dragon Palace. The only pity was that no living creature had broken through to the Immortal Realm during this 1 year. Even so, the strength of the Dragon Palace was not something that the immortal sects in the Nine Cauldrons world could compare to. What surprised Wang Xian the most was the hundreds of dolphins. Their cultivation speed combined with Tang Yinshuan's, and the speed of absorbing spiritual energy was terrifying. In just a year, more than a dozen of the 300 dolphins had reached the infant realm. The dolphins' combat strength was not very strong, even though they had cultivated the water god dragon transformation. However, their support was very terrifying. They could ignite the fighting spirit of other creatures in an instant. They could maintain the clarity of the minds of other creatures and maximize their 5 senses. The circulation of the spiritual energy in their bodies was accelerated. It could almost increase the strength of a creature by 30 to 40%. In addition, they could also interfere with the enemy, slowing down the circulation of the spiritual energy and slowing down the reaction speed of the enemy. If the dolphin's ability was used in a large-scale battle, it would definitely be the most terrifying existence. Dragon King. Ao Yao Yao, Ao Jianma, Green Dragon, 16 Strange Yao Yao, and the disciples of the Dragon Gate came and bowed respectfully to Wang Xian. Let's go back. Wang Xian said to them as he looked at Xiaoyu, Lan Qingyue, and the rest. Alright, let's go. Let's see what the outside world has become. The group of girls looked excited. They had been in seclusion for a year and just happened to see the world of the Nine Cauldrons. They believed that the entire world had undergone great changes. The group of them moved and flew towards the surface of the sea. Around the Dragon Palace, hundreds of thousands of intelligent aquatic creatures saw Wang Xian flying out and immediately bowed respectfully. Splash! After flying out of the sea, the group of them looked around with smiles on their faces. Although the Dragon Palace was magnificent and beautiful, the group of girls would feel a little impatient after staying for a long time. Let's fly over directly. Wang Xian looked at them and flew towards the direction of Huaxia at a terrifying speed. Among them, even the dragon men of the Dragon Gate were at the infant realm. Mo Qinglong, Lan Qingyue, Xiaoyu, Elder Fan, Sun Lingxiu, and Ajaya had already reached the half-step Immortal God realm. The remaining 80 or so dragon men, Wang Xian, gave them all the spiritual herbs and elixirs that they had obtained from the Ding of Yu world during this 1 year. 80-odd infant realm warriors were already strong enough. There were at most 100-odd infant realm warriors in the entire Yongchang world. With the strength of more than 100 of them, they could cause the entire Nine Cauldrons world to be afraid of them. The group flew very fast. In less than 20 minutes, they could see the city in the distance. Xiao Yu, Qing Yu, Ling Xiu, Qing Lan, Ajia, Wang Xian, I'm going back first. Tang Yinxian stopped. She was heading in a different direction from Wang Xian and the rest. Sister Yinxian, be careful and keep in touch. Xiao Yu, Lan Qingyue, and the rest held on to Tang Yinshuan's arm as they spoke. Okay, I'll look for you guys after I stay at home for a few days. Tang Yinxian nodded. They had been together for almost 24 hours a day for a year, which made their relationship as close as sisters. Regardless of whether it was sisterhood or the dolphins in the Dragon Palace who were like family to Tang Yinxian, she would not leave the Dragon Palace. She admired and liked Wang Xian. Now that the Nine Cauldrons world has appeared, there are as many experts in the pugilistic world as the clouds. Mo Yuan, bring the 9 draconids and protect her safety. Also, the 4 strange demons, you guys protect her in secret. Wang Xian looked to the side and ordered Mo Yuan and the 4 strange demons. It's the Dragon King. We swear to protect Miss Tang Yinshuan's safety with our lives. Mo Yuan immediately shouted respectfully. This zither is a level 12 spiritual weapon. The bell isn't very useful. There's also a spiritual sword below it. Wang Xian took out a zither from his interspatial ring and handed it to her as he said with a smile. Alright, there's no need for so many people to follow me. A hint of warmth flashed across Tang Yinshuan's eyes as she reached out to take it. It's alright. You're the weakest. With Devil Abyss and the rest by your side, you'll be safe. The 4 strange demons are also in the dark just in case. Wang Xian shook his head and looked at her. Let's go. Okay. Tang Yinxian smiled sweetly at Wang Xian and nodded. She waved at Xiao Yu, Lan Qingyue, and the other 5 girls before flying off in another direction. Wang Xian looked at her with a smile. She's already gone, but she's still looking. Ajia looked at Wang Xian and teased him. Hee hee. Wang Xian smiled and held Ajia's body. Take the plane back later. Bring 20 draconids and 4 demons. Come back as soon as possible. That's more like it. Ajia smiled happily and looked at the city ahead. Let's go. Let's go to the airport of the city in front. The group flew over and found a secret place to get down. They then sent Ajia onto the plane. Ajia had been with Wang Xian for more than a year. It was time for her to go home and take a look. Let's go back too. After sending Ajia onto the plane, the sky had turned dark. Wang Xian and the rest moved and flew towards the seaside villa in Jiang City. In less than half an hour, they arrived at the sky above Jiang City. Looking at this familiar city, a smile appeared on their faces. Dragon King, our floating island is gone. At this moment, Mo Qinglong, who was at the side, said with a dark expression and a twinkle in his eyes. Due to various reasons, the floating island had been placed here all along. No one knew who had taken it away. It's fine. We'll just find it again. You guys can stay in the villa by the side. As Wang Xian spoke, he moved and arrived in the courtyard of the villa in an instant. The villa was already filled with dust and cobwebs. Weeds were growing everywhere. Wang Xian waved his arm and the weeds in the courtyard were removed. Sun Lingxiu, who was at the side, spat out the luminous dragon pearl. The dragon pearls surrounded the room and removed all the dust. The entire villa became spotless in an instant. Let's go home. Xiao Yu, Elder Fan, Lan Qingyue, and the rest walked into the room happily. Wang Xian also walked in with a smile. Cook and eat, then use your phone, watch TV, and watch movies. Xiao Yu let out a cheerful scream and quickly turned on all the lights in the room. Chapter 706. Wow brother, the Jianghu website has been revised. It's actually divided into 8 regions. Xianyuan, Ji, Huang, Yao, Shun, Tang, Xia, and Yongchang. Each region has its own individual information. We actually belong to Shun's region. Now, Jianghu is also divided into 8 regions. Each Ding world occupies a region, and this region includes cities. Our Jiang city is under the jurisdiction of the Shun Ding world. The Ming King Immortal sect and the Puppet Immortal sect are the most powerful existences in this region. 100 kilometers north of our Jiang city is the Shun Ding world, which is the size of 4 or 5 cities in our Jiang city. It has changed. Our world has completely changed. Martial arts have entered the school. Now, it basically belongs to the era where all the people are martial artists. Xiao Yu's exclamations could be heard from the hall of the villa. Let me take a look. Wang Xian walked to Xiao Yu's side and looked through all sorts of information over the past year together. All the immortal sects coexisted peacefully. The immortal level powerhouses were prohibited from taking action. The immortal level powerhouses gave the order to forbid killing ordinary people. Numerous messages flashed past their eyes. Wang Xian and Xiao Yu opened up the posts one by one and read them. After the emergence of the 9 cauldrons and the emergence of world after world, the inevitable conflicts had led to many large-scale battles. This was especially so during the period of 7 months ago. Due to some conflicts, the immortal sect continued to fight. The entire Jianghu was in a bloody state. The ordinary disciples of the immortal sect were killed and the elite disciples came out to take revenge. In the end, the deacons and elders of the immortal sect were drawn out. Thus, some large-scale battles took place. In particular, when one of the heavens' favored disciples of the immortal sects was killed, the immortal god was enraged and killed the core disciples of the other side. When one immortal sect's immortal god made a move, the other side naturally retaliated. There might be some difference in strength between the immortal sects, but it could not completely suppress them. When the immortal god made a move, it would cause a battle between the immortal gods. 7 months ago, a total of 3 immortal god battles took place. Each time, the sun and moon lost their light, and the terrifying sounds of battle resounded throughout the entire Jianghu. The entire eastern mountain range became a 10,000-meter-long pit under the immortal gods' battle. Later, in the Xianyuan tripod world, the Xianyuan clan and the Yuan clan made an agreement with the immortal sects that immortal god-level experts were not allowed to make a move. Once they violated the agreement, they would be punished by all the immortal sections. Finally, the immortal sects sat down to discuss. The entire Jianghu of China was divided into 8 regions. The surroundings of one cauldron occupied a region. The Jianghu gradually calmed down and began to integrate into the real world. The appearance of the new world caused a huge uproar on the internet. It took 2 whole months for the people of China to accept the new world. However, the appearance of martial arts made all the ordinary people of China extremely excited. Everyone wanted to become an expert who could leap over roofs and walk over walls. Since those immortal sects had entered the real world, they were also prepared to integrate into it. The people in the real world learned martial arts while the people in the 8-tripod world learned modern knowledge. After 5 months of integration, the embryonic form of the new world had been finalized. Science and technology coexisted with martial arts. The martial arts world had also entered the world of the ordinary people. All the schools had set up a martial arts course to strengthen the body. In short, the current Jianghu was not as bad as Wang Xian had imagined. There were still battles and frictions, but there was already an initial order. Xiao Yu, tomorrow, we will visit some of our fellow disciples from Thorn sect. Now, they have joined the Yellow Heaven Immortal sect. Alright, brother. Are you coming with us? Xiao Yu looked at Wang Xian and asked him. No, you guys go ahead. Bring some draconids and demons over. I'll go to school tomorrow. Wang Xian shook his head and said to him. School? I want to go back to school too. I haven't even completed my university career for a year. Xiao Yu pouted and said unhappily. Hee hee. Wang Xian smiled and looked at Lan Qingyue and Sun Lingxiu. What about you guys? Where are you going tomorrow? I'm going home. I've already told my parents. I'm going to the Divine Dragon Medical Center to check on the medical center and see if Xiaohong is slacking off. Lan Qingyue and Sun Lingxiu said. Alright, let's eat and sleep. We'll go for a stroll tomorrow. Wang Xian said with a smile. Woof woof. Suddenly, the sound of a dog barking could be heard. Following that, a 2-meter-tall dog entered the villa. This, every day, come here. The bloody miracle doctor has made him so fat. Lan Qingyue and Elder Fan looked at the heavenly dog with smiles on their faces. His strength has actually reached the infant stage. Wang Xian looked at the heavenly dog in astonishment. He must have cultivated to the infant stage under the waterfall of spiritual energy. This heavenly dog's bloodline is extraordinary. It's very likely that he has achieved a huge improvement. Wang Xian touched him and the heavenly dog immediately lowered its head obediently. The next morning, Xiao Yu and Elder Fan left directly to visit the people from the Thorn sect. Wang Xian put on a set of simple clothes and walked towards the school. Sitting in the luxurious RV, the heavenly dog followed suit. Wang Xian stroked its head with a smile and scanned the surroundings. The surroundings didn't change much, but Wang Xian saw many young and middle-aged men with long braids. There were also some martial artists who were jumping on the trees. The cars on the street were moving forward. It was obvious that they were used to the situation around them. Wang Xian didn't let the heavenly dog follow him. He came to the entrance of the school and took out his cell phone to call Wang Dehai. It's been more than a year. I wonder if this kid is still in school. Wang Xian said with a smile. Hello, old Wang. Is that you? Wang Dehai's excited voice came from the phone. It's me. Where are you, kid? I'm in school now. Are you still in school? Wang Xian heard the familiar voice and his face was full of smiles. Ah, old Wang, you're at school. Boss, I'm here. Where are you? I'll go look for you immediately. Wang Dehai said hurriedly. It was old Wang calling out to him again. I'll go look for you. Tell me where you are. I'll go look for you. There are some changes in the school. You might not be able to find me. In a spacious room, Wang Dehai stood beside a few young men and women. After hanging up the phone, he walked to the side of a woman with a smile on his face. The woman's face was exquisite, and there was a proud look on her face. She crossed her arms and held a sword in her hand, looking like an ice-cold heroine. Senior sister, I'm going to pick up a friend. I'll be back soon. Okay. The woman nodded coldly. She didn't even look at Wang Dehai, but stared at the people in front of her. There, a group of warriors were sparring. Most of them were at level 4, 5, or 6. This was something unimaginable a year ago. Old Wang, old Wang. In less than 2 minutes, Wang Dehai's figure appeared in Wang Xian's line of sight. Compared to a year ago, Wang Dehai's fat body had completely turned into muscles. He was a muscular man. With a simple and honest smile on his face, he pounced on Wang Xian excitedly. When Wang Xian saw this scene, he didn't dare to look straight at him. Big brother, boss, old Wang, Dragon King, I missed you so much. Wang Dehai spread his arms and stared at Wang Xian with burning eyes. Scram! Wang Xian placed his finger on Wang Dehai's chest and said in disdain. It's been more than a year. Old Wang, where have you been? I thought. No, you are so awesome. How could something happen to you? Let's go. Wang Dehai patted Wang Xian's shoulder in excitement. I have some things to do. Now that I'm back, I won't be leaving anytime soon. Chapter 707. Old Wang, you've been gone for more than a year. I missed you so much. I thought old Wang had forgotten about a nobody like me. Hee, we must get drunk tonight. Old Wang, let's go to the class and take a look. It seems to be a public class today. Our classmates are not gathered together. Wang Dehai said to Wang Xian excitedly. He knew Wang Xian's identity. The overlord of the martial arts world a year ago, the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate, was actually his brother. He was very excited just thinking about it. Where are our counselors? Are they bringing us along? Wang Xian asked Wang Dehai with a smile on his face. No need. Our counselors have gone to be civil servants. Zhang Feng and Zhang Wen have also dropped out of school and joined the Puppet Immortals sect. Wang Dehai said to Wang Xian. Oh? Why did they join the Puppet Immortals sect? Wang Xian revealed a surprised expression. Old Wang, I know about the spiritual energy waterfall a year ago. After that, I told Zhang Feng and Zhang Wen about it. Later on, we were lucky and built our foundation under a spiritual energy waterfall. After the spiritual energy waterfall was washed away, our cultivation speed was very fast. Now, I have joined the Mingwang Immortal sect. However, as there are disciples of the Immortal sect studying in our Jiang City University, the warden of the Immortal sect sent me to follow these disciples and recruit some disciples with potential. Wang Dehai explained to him. Wang Xian nodded his head. Currently, the martial arts practitioners who had undergone the baptism of the spiritual energy waterfall had a physique that far surpassed those in the Nine Cauldrons world due to the impact of the huge amount of spiritual energy. Therefore, those immortal sects would take them in as their disciples. As the disciples of the immortal sects wanted to integrate into the world, there would be a situation where the disciples of the immortal sects would go to university. By the way, where is your girlfriend, Su Qian? Wang Xian asked her with a smile. She is also in school. She joined the Mingwang Celestial sect with me. Yuan also joined. At that time, the spiritual waterfall of Shunding was not too far away from us. Many people had entered the spiritual waterfall. However, many of them did not stay for long before they were controlled by the martial arts practitioners of the past. Without the ability, they would not be able to enter the spiritual waterfall. As Wang Dehai spoke, he puffed out his chest and said, Boss, what do you think of me now? A fighter of level 8 will be able to step into the Xiantian realm in 5 years at most. You are still too weak. Wang Xian shook his head. He waved his arm and landed it on Wang Dehai's chest. Before he could react, he felt a terrifying energy entering his body directly. The 8 extraordinary meridians were opened in an instant. A martial artist was at level 9, half-step into the Xiantian realm, and the Xiantian realm. In just a short instant, Wang Dehai's cultivation base was elevated to the Xiantian realm. Wang Dehai was stunned. Following that, his face turned red. He quickly hugged Wang Xian's arm and said, Fuck, boss, you are my boss for life. Get lost. I didn't plan to teach you before you stepped into martial arts. Now that you have embarked on this path, I can only help you up to this point. Wang Xian pushed his arm away. A smile appeared on his face before he threw a porcelain bottle to him. There are some elixirs in there. It's enough for you to advance to the dance stage. I will give it to you then. He said faintly, let's go for a walk. Let's have dinner together tonight. All right. Wang Dehai nodded excitedly. He asked with anticipation, Boss, how strong are you now? Are you as strong as the immortals from the immortal sects? What do you think? Wang Xian smiled and didn't answer. He looked around with a smile. Hee, even if you aren't that strong, you are at least an infant stage powerhouse. With your subordinates, you are still very strong. Wang Dehai didn't dare to imagine that Wang Xian was as strong as the immortals. He smiled foolishly. Buzz! Buzz! At this moment, Wang Dehai's phone rang. Wang Dehai, come back immediately. As soon as Wang Dehai said that, the other party immediately hung up the phone. Wang Dehai's face was filled with helplessness. What's wrong? When Wang Xian heard the voice on his phone, he asked curiously. Senior sister from the celestial sect, she asked me to rush over. Isn't school just starting? There's a batch of new students. There are dozens of martial artists who know how to cultivate. They joined the school's martial arts club. As long as they can reach the level of a martial artist above LV8, they are qualified to join the celestial sect. The martial arts club can be considered a small place for the celestial sect to select disciples. Wang Dehai explained to Wang Xian with a bitter face. Oh, is that so? Come, let's go and take a look. Wang Xian was slightly interested and said immediately. Alright, let's hurry over then. If we are late, we will have to face her arrogant face again. As Wang Dehai spoke, he quickened his pace and walked towards the martial arts club. Wang Xian followed by the side with a smile on his face. The martial arts club was now in a single large room. The entire room was the size of a playground. It was obvious that it had just been built not long ago. In the martial arts club, there were about 200 people gathered inside. At the center, there were 3 to 4 young men standing there. Senior sister. Wang Dehai walked in and shouted at a girl in the center. N. The girl took a glance at her and didn't say anything else. Student Wang Xian. Senior Wang Xian. It's really Senior Wang Xian. At this moment, surprised voices came from the surroundings. Wang Xian was slightly stunned. He looked around and found that he didn't know anyone other than Su Qian and Yuan. However, all the senior students in Jiang City University knew him, so he wasn't surprised. Hello. Wang Xian smiled at them kindly. It's really Senior Wang Xian. I haven't seen you for more than a year. Where's Xiaoyu? Su Qian and Yuan came to Wang Xian's side with pleasant surprise and asked him. Xiaoyu will be back in 2 days. Wang Xian said to them. Who is this? 40 to 50 people in the surroundings shouted Wang Xian's name, causing a curious expression to appear on the faces of the surrounding people. All of them were freshmen and sophomores of Jiang City University. They had never seen Wang Xian before, so they asked their seniors out of curiosity. Student Wang Xian, he should be a senior now. He used to be an influential figure in Jiang City University. He once donated 50 million to the university, but he hasn't appeared in the school for more than a year. Not only that, Senior Wang Xian has also managed to woo the former goddess of our Jiang City University. He is the most handsome Prince Charming in our school. Some students who were of the same level as Wang Xian and were of a lower grade said to the surrounding juniors and juniors. Wow, donating 50 million. That's amazing. Senior Wang Xian is also quite handsome. TSK, he's just rich. Now that the world of martial arts is in his hands, being strong is the true capital. Some of the girls were in awe, but most of them were a little disdainful. The world today was the world of martial artists. No matter how much money there was, it was useless compared to being strong. When the few people in the center heard the discussions around them, they looked curiously at Wang Xian who was beside Wang Dehai. Wang Dehai, non-martial artists are prohibited from entering our martial arts club. A young man looked at Wang Dehai and glanced at Wang Xian before saying in a deep voice. Chapter 708. Senior brother, my boss is a martial artist, and he is very powerful. Wang Dehai quickly said to the young man. A martial artist? The girl in the middle raised her eyebrows slightly when she heard Wang Dehai's words. Her arrogant eyes swept across Wang Xian. To be able to make Wang Dehai call him boss and say that he was very powerful, he must be at least a level 8 martial artist. I'll take advantage of some time to come over and teach you 2 moves. Don't waste my time. At this moment, a young man's voice sounded. Everyone's gaze focused on the young man, their faces filled with respect. This young man was an elite disciple of the Ming Wang Immortal sect. His strength had already reached the half-step Dan stage. He had specially come to the university to learn modern knowledge. He was not in charge of the martial arts club's teaching methods. This time, he was invited over by a few disciples of the martial arts club to give him some pointers. The young man had shaved off his long hair and was dressed in a white robe. He was handsome and dashing, and he had the demeanor of a proud son of heaven. "Yes, it's senior brother." The young man who had spoken just now also nodded respectfully. "Today, I will teach you the Ming King body sealing technique. It is an offensive technique that all disciples of our immortal sect below the Khanate realm must master. It is not bad. Junior brother Liu, find someone to demonstrate it. I will guide them." The young man in white put his hands behind his back and said slowly in a heroic manner, "It's senior brother Liang." Junior brother Liu nodded immediately. He scanned his surroundings and suddenly raised his eyebrows. He pointed at Wang Xian and said, "Wang Dahai said that you are strong. Come over and accompany me to practice. Let me see your strength too. If you are stronger than Wang Dahai, we can apply for you to join the Ming Wang Immortal sect." Wang Dahai was slightly stunned. When he saw the young man pointing at Wang Xian, he quickly said, "Senior brother Liu, forget about my friend. I'll do it. I'll do it. I said let him do it." Junior brother Liu ignored Wang Dahai. He pointed at Wang Xian and said again. Wang Dahai's expression changed slightly. "Forget about me. This fellow student, let someone else practice with you." Wang Xian shook his head and said with a smile, "It's your honor for senior brother Liu to let you practice. Do you really think you're a big shot?" At this moment, a burly young man shouted at Wang Xian. "That's right. It's your honor for our senior brother Liu to let you practice. I would have been more than happy to choose me, but you actually refused. That's right, that's right. Don't waste our senior brother Liang's time. I'll let you practice." Some of the new students around shouted at Wang Xian hurriedly. "A famous figure in the school? Wang Xian? Sorry, I don't know him. What kind of figure is he?" "Their senior brother Liu is a Shintian-level powerhouse. It's your honor to let you practice." Those students who knew Wang Xian immediately frowned and looked at Wang Xian with a complicated expression. After all, he was a famous figure from a year ago. The times had changed. They didn't think that a rich senior could be compared to an immortal sect powerhouse with terrifying strength. "All of you, shut up." When Wang Dahai heard the words of the students around him, he shouted with an embarrassed expression. "Actual combat practice is even better." At this moment, senior brother Liang glanced at Wang Xian with a smile on his face and said with a smile. He wasn't targeting Wang Xian. Instead, he had the indifference of a powerhouse. He was smiling to see what kind of ability this influential figure from a university in the real world had. In front of him, who was the Prince Charming among the many girls in Jiang City University, he was nothing. That's right, senior brother Liang is right. Junior brother Liu revealed a big smile when he heard the young man in white. He turned his head and stared at Wang Xian. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. "I'll let you have one hand. Watch carefully. Next, I'll show you the powerful attack technique of our Ming Wang immortal sect, the Ming Wang seal." Junior brother Liu placed one hand behind his back and stared at Wang Xian with a cold and arrogant expression. Then, he moved. All the students in the surroundings immediately focused their attention on him. Junior brother Liu moved. Boom! However, at this moment, junior brother Liu's expression changed drastically. His entire body was drenched in sweat. He laid on the ground and panted heavily with a terrified expression. His entire body went soft and his body trembled slightly. He couldn't even speak. Wang Xian shook his head lightly. He really didn't know what kind of courage he had to dare to challenge an immortal god. He only revealed a trace of his imposing manner. Junior brother Liu, you. Senior brother Liang was stunned when he saw junior brother Lu suddenly falling to the ground. He immediately walked over. However, at this moment, an imposing manner that made him shudder overcame him. He felt as though the sky was collapsing. Bang! Senior brother Liang was sweating profusely as well. He laid on the ground and looked up at Wang Xian with his eyes wide open. He was filled with fear and disbelief. You don't know what's good for you. Wang Xian said calmly, Dahai, I'm going to take a look around. Come and find me when you're done. All right. Wang Dahai swallowed a mouthful of saliva. When he saw senior brother Lu and senior brother Liang lying on the ground, a teasing look flashed across his eyes. I've already said that my boss is very powerful. Wait. At this moment, the cold and arrogant woman standing at the side revealed a look of shock. Her arrogance did not disappear completely. There was only a look of shock. Which immortal sect are you from? I am the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate. Wang Xian paused for a moment and said with a smile. Dragon King of the Dragon Gate? The woman revealed a look of confusion. When Wang Xian heard the woman mumbling to herself, he felt a little self-deprecating. Things have changed, but people have changed. He was once the king of the entire Jianghu. Now that a year had passed, no one knew about his Dragon Gate. No one knew about his Dragon King. Interesting, hee hee. Wang Xian couldn't help but laugh out loud. He walked out with a smile on his face. Bastard, Dragon King of the Dragon Gate, what is that? After Wang Xian left, the terrifying pressure on senior brother Liang and junior brother Lu disappeared. The two of them looked extremely embarrassed as they growled at Wang Dahai in a low voice. Wang Dahai pursed his lips. The Dragon King of the Dragon Gate was once a taboo existence. He was the king of the Jianghu. Even when he was facing an expert from the Nine Cauldrons world, he was still able to kill and suppress him. The Dragon Gate is a Jianghu faction established by my boss. It was very famous when the Nine Cauldrons world was not around. A faction from the past and a trashy sect actually dared to embarrass us. Junior brother Lu clenched his fists with an embarrassed expression. Senior brother Liang's eyes were also flickering and his gaze was cold. Senior brother Liang, his strength is at least at the Dan stage, or even higher. The lady at the side reminded him with a sullen face. I know. Senior brother Liang's expression was extremely embarrassed as he walked out directly. The group of martial arts club students were dumbstruck as their faces revealed a look of shock. Wang Xian, who was once a popular figure in the school, didn't even move. He even made senior brother Lu and senior brother Liang lie on the ground and sweat profusely. He was too strong. How strong was that Wang Xian exactly? A hint of fear flashed across the eyes of the few new students who spoke just now. Chapter 709, The Clash Between the New and Old Campus Heroes. Senior Wang Xian. Look, it's Senior Wang Xian. I didn't expect it to be Senior Wang Xian. It's really true. It's been more than a year since we last met. Senior Wang Xian seems to have become more handsome again. Wang Xian walked alone in the campus. He slowly walked to the lotus pond where he got the divine dragon system. He was in a very pleasant mood. After dozens of battles in the martial arts world, this quiet atmosphere made him feel very comfortable. When he was in the martial arts club, he didn't make a move. He only released a hint of his aura. He wasn't trying to act pretentious. He just thought that it was very interesting. Wang Xian was a popular figure in the school a year ago. 100% of the students knew him. Therefore, when he walked in the campus, the students in their third year and fourth year all pointed at Wang Xian and said in surprise. Donating 50 million to the school and donating money to a female student to treat her illness. All the bonuses for the poor students in the school were related to Wang Xian. His reputation was not only because of his good looks and his pursuit of the school's goddess. It was also because of what he had done for the school. all the students were filled with respect and gratitude towards Wang Xian. When they saw that he had returned to the school, all of them greeted him warmly. "Senior Wang Xian, are you going back to school?" A girl couldn't help but ask. "Yes, I should be staying at school for some time." "What's wrong?" Wang Xian smiled at her and asked curiously. "It's nothing. Senior is handsome again," the girl said with a smile and left with a smile. Wang Xian shook his head and asked a student to head to his class. At this moment, the discussion about Wang Xian's return to school flooded the forum. "Senior Wang Xian has returned. Senior has become more handsome again. My Prince Charming has returned to school. He sent a picture that he secretly took. He is simply too handsome. Senior Wang Xian has returned. La la la, confess to Senior." Wang Xian's reputation in the school was incomparable to anyone else. What he did was truly worthy of the respect of the students. Therefore, when the news of Wang Xian's return to the school spread in the forum, the entire forum was instantly flooded with comments. Very soon, the posts welcoming the return of the seniors and declaring their love for each other were neatly posted. Regardless of the gender, the posts were neatly posted. In just a few hours, over 1,000 posts were posted. The scene on the forum stunned many of the freshmen and sophomores. What Wang Xian? What Prince Charming? What? In a classroom of the freshmen, a girl dressed sexily looked at the posts on the forum and curled her lips in disdain. Only Mu Zidao and Ming Feng are Prince Charming. What kind of Prince Charming is this Wang Xian? He is even the most popular Prince Charming in the school. How can he be compared to Mu Zidao and Ming Feng? Even Liang Guwen is better than this Wang Xian. Humph. The lady looked at the forum with some dissatisfaction. When she saw that the forum was spamming non-stop, she was a little annoyed and immediately posted the thread. This is the male idols. What kind of male idols is that Wang Xian? These few short words were followed by the pictures of Mu Zidao and Ming Feng. The two of them stood at the top of the school building. Their faces were full of arrogance. Their otherworldly temperament was clearly displayed. The post was released. However, within a few minutes after her post was released, it had already attracted the attention of many seniors and seniors. Upon seeing this post, they were instantly enraged. One after another, they replied below. A handsome man is not a Prince Charming. There are many handsome men in Jiang City University. Only those who contribute to the school and their classmates can be called Prince Charming. What qualifications do the two of them have to compete with Senior Wang Xian? Little girl, don't you know that Senior Wang Xian was the most popular person in our school a year ago? He is the Prince Charming of the masses. This thread was like a fuse that caused an uproar in an instant. The first and second year students had no idea who Wang Xian was. However, they knew Mu Zidao and Ming Feng. They were from the Celestial sect and were peerless experts who could travel in the air. Their every move carried a trace of otherworldly aura. They were the dream boys of the freshmen and sophomores. Ever since they entered the school, they had received countless love letters. They were from the Celestial sect, handsome and strong. How could Wang Xian, who had some stinky money, compare to them? Therefore, when the first and second year girls saw this post, they immediately retorted. There were even many first and second year girls who said bluntly that a guy with a little money had no right to be compared to Mu Zidao and obviously Feng. The two of them were not on the same level. Just like a commoner and a prince, that Wang Xian was not even worthy to give Mu Zidao and obviously Feng Qiao shoes. The retorts of the freshmen and sophomores also made the juniors and seniors furious. After all, the juniors and seniors were men and women. Furthermore, they had eaten for 2 more years, so their vocabulary was more than theirs. All kinds of moral words were thrown out, causing the freshmen and sophomores to be a little dumbfounded. It made them extremely angry. The future will be a world of martial arts. Strength is the most important thing. Money is just a piece of paper to the strong. That Wang Xian is like a monkey in front of Mu Zidao and Ming Feng. He can't be compared to them at all. That's right. Support Mu Zidao and Ming Feng to teach this Wang Xian a lesson. Let him know that strength is the most important thing now. When this post was posted by the furious and enchanting girl, a smug look appeared on her face. If Mu Zidao and Ming Feng taught Wang Xian a lesson, then Wang Xian was nothing. When this post appeared, it also made the 3rd and 4th year students furious. At the same time, they were also a little worried. The world was no longer the same as before. They knew that Wang Xian was rich, but they did not know that Wang Xian had the strength. The world of martial arts was now the world of the immortal sect. What would they do if Mu Zidao and Ming Feng really taught Wang Xian a lesson? The 3rd, 4th, and 3rd year students were filled with anger, but they were also afraid and extremely sullen. After all, Mu Zidao and Ming Feng were the strong ones of the immortal sect. They were terrifying strong ones. Humph. Seeing that the aura of the seniors and juniors had weakened, those freshmen and sophomores began to mock and ridicule them in the forum with a smug look on their faces. What kind of conflict between the new and old school missions? The famous people in the school in the past were nothing but a joke now. This made those juniors and seniors extremely angry. Wang Xian did not know about the fight in the school forum. At this moment, he was standing on the rooftop and scanning the entire school with a satisfied expression. The bell for the end of class rang and he saw groups of students walking out of the classroom. Sometimes, I don't have to worry about going to school. Wang Xian looked at the group of students below and considered staying in the school for the next period of time. He had only attended university for a year, so he still had many regrets. Furthermore, with his current strength, he didn't have to fight as hard as before. The members of the Dragon Gate and the Dragon Palace were already able to take charge of their own affairs. Chapter 7:10. Student Mu Zidao is obviously Student Feng. Look at the school forum. Those seniors are really detestable. They actually said that someone is even more handsome than the two of you. In one of the classrooms in the school, the bell rang after class. The enchanting girl took her phone and ran to the 2 young men in front of her. One of the young men still had his hair tied up in ancient costumes, looking like a classical Prince Charming. The other one had his eyebrows in pieces, exuding a lazy and otherworldly aura. The enchanting girl seemed to be fawning over them as she showed them her post. The 2 of them smiled. When they saw the girls fawning over them, their vanity was greatly satisfied. Among the disciples of the immortal sect, the 2 of them could only be considered as relatively talented disciples. Compared to the true Heaven's Pride disciples of the immortal sect and the eldest senior brother of the immortal sect, there was still a huge gap. However, in this place, everyone was centered around them. Those praises and admiration were not stingy as they spoke to them. Let me take a look. The long-haired Ming Feng reached out his hand to take the phone. A single action caused the enchanting girl beside him to be pleasantly surprised. Mu Zidao and Ming Feng, we have already spoken up for you guys on the forum. How can that Wang Xian compare to you guys? That's right. We, Mu Zidao and Ming Feng, can only pick the stars with one hand. How can a guy with a little money be compared to us? Around them, a group of girls in the classroom immediately surrounded them and chattered excitedly. This made the 2 of them extremely satisfied. An ordinary person. There's nothing that can compare to us. Ming Feng took a look and indifferently handed his phone to the enchanting girl beside him. Student Ming Feng, those seniors are simply too detestable. You guys should teach that Wang Xian a good lesson and let those seniors know the difference between him and you guys. The enchanting girl pretended to be angry as she spoke. Mu Zidao waved his hand and raised his head slightly. Our immortal sect has a rule that we can't attack ordinary people. In other words, he doesn't have the qualifications. He doesn't have the qualifications? That's right. Mu Zidao, Student Ming Feng is right. That Wang Xian doesn't have the qualifications to be on par with all of you. Some of the girls around hurriedly spoke. Senior brother Mu, senior brother Ming. However, at this moment, a voice came from outside. Junior brother Liang, what's the matter? Mu Zidao looked behind curiously and waved his hand. The girls around immediately dispersed. Senior brothers. The young man walked in. He was the young man who was called Senior Brother Liang in the martial arts club. At this moment, he walked over with a sullen face and said with an embarrassed expression, Senior brothers, can we talk outside? Mu Zidao and Ming Feng saw his expression and hesitated for a moment. Then, they nodded slowly and walked out. You mean? When they heard the young man's report, the corners of their lips curled up slightly. Interesting. Dragon King of the Dragon Gate? He used to be a force in the Jianghu. If there's a chance, we can go and meet him. Oh right, what's his name? I think his name is Wang Xian. He's very famous in the school. Wang Xian. Immediately, Mu Zidao and Ming Feng were stunned. Then, a teasing expression appeared on their faces. Interesting, really interesting. I didn't expect him to be a martial artist. Is this considered a clash between the influential figures of the new and old schools? Mu Zidao laughed out loud. His eyes were filled with interest as if he had found a fun game. We can't disappoint those who support us. Obviously, Feng touched the long sword in his hand and took out a phone. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. The youth was slightly stunned when he heard the words of his two senior brothers. He didn't understand what they meant. However, when he saw his two senior brothers enter the classroom, he didn't dare to ask further. However, when he returned to the classroom and listened to the conversations of the students around him, a ferocious look of excitement appeared on his face. Your strength is relatively strong, but senior brother Mu Zidao and Ming Feng both have the strength of the peak of the dance stage. This time, you will be in trouble. You are a force in the Jianghu that broke through the Dragon Gate. What Dragon King? You actually dare to fight against us disciples of the Immortal Sect. You are simply courting death. His eyes were filled with ferocity and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. At this moment, a message on the school forum had caused a stir among everyone. I didn't expect Senior Wang Xian to be a pugilistic world martial artist. Let's spar when we have the time. It was a very casual sentence, but the person who posted it was Mu Zidao. When the students of the school saw this post, they were stunned. Especially those students who were in their third year and fourth year, their faces were filled with anger and self-reproach. Mu Zidao actually wants to challenge Senior Wang Xian. This is simply bullying. He, a member of the Immortal Sect, actually dares to bully Senior Wang Xian. This is too unfair. He is too despicable. He actually did such a despicable thing. A group of students who were in their third year and fourth year replied below. However, they were quickly met with a group of retorts. Your Prince Charming Wang Xian is a martial artist. Didn't you guys say that he is the most influential person in the school? It's a good opportunity for him to spar with our student Mu Zidao. Haha, that's right. Why are you guys so cowardly? Isn't he the most powerful person in your hearts? Hehe, our student Mu Zidao wants to teach your Prince Charming a lesson. He wants to know if you are afraid. Those first-year and second-year girls ridiculed them to the extreme, almost causing the third-year and fourth-year students to go berserk. Our student Mu Zidao can cripple that Wang Xian with a single finger. Without using a single finger, our student Mu Zidao is standing there exuding the aura of a powerhouse. Maybe that Wang Xian will kneel down. I hope that Wang Xian doesn't cower and spar with our student Mu Zidao. Gradually, the entire forum was filled with such voices. Fuck. 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 At this moment, Wang Dehai walked out of the martial arts club and noticed what was happening on the forum. His face revealed an angry expression. Fuck. You, Mu Zidao, want to spar with the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate? You're simply courting death. If it wasn't for me and you, the immortal sect, I would have pasted on you long ago. Fuck. As he spoke, he ran towards the top of the teaching building. Boss, old Wang. When he reached the top of the building, Wang Dahai saw Wang Xian sitting comfortably on it and immediately ran over. What's wrong? Your cold senior sister asked you to come out. Wang Xian looked at Wang Dahai and said with a smile. Hey, those guys are too arrogant. They think that the disciples of the immortal sect are superior to others. What's so great about them? They're not as awesome as you, old Wang. Wang Dahai smiled. That senior brother Lu is even worse. He saw that you might have some prestige, so he wanted to step on you. In the end, he was simply courting death. Oh right, old Wang, there's another guy provoking you in the school forum. He's an elite disciple of our immortal sect, with the strength of the peak of the dance stage. Fuck them. Let them know how powerful and terrifying the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate is. Make that guy tremble. Chapter 7:11. Wang Dahai went to the rooftop and spoke to Wang Xian angrily. When Wang Xian heard his series of words, a curious expression appeared on his face. Is that so? He took out his phone and opened the school forum to take a look. As expected, the entire school forum was in an uproar. Mu Zidao directly posted on the school's forum, wanting to spar with Wang Xian. This was simply bullying. The mighty disciple of the celestial sect wanted to spar with a student. It was obvious that he wanted to show off his might. However, those third-year, fourth-year students couldn't do anything about it. They could only aggrievely ask Mu Zidao not to bully Wang Xian and could only humbly beg for mercy. This made the girls, who were in their first year and second year, look pleased with themselves. Give up. Our Prince Charming Mu Zidao only posted one post, and you guys have to give up. What kind of influential person was Jiang City University? He was obviously not qualified to compete with Mu Zidao's Prince Charming. Wang Xian looked at the posts and shook his head nonchalantly. He had not returned to school for more than a year. It was normal for the freshmen and sophomores to not know him. He was not interested in Mu Zidao at all. He was just a guy who was half a step into the infant realm. If it was a year ago, Wang Xian might have been a little angry. However, he found it interesting now. The students of Jiang City University no longer knew Wang Xian. The martial artists in the martial arts world no longer recognized him as the Dragon Gate and the Dragon King. Old Wang, should we teach that kid a lesson and let him know how powerful the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate is? Wang Dahai looked at Wang Xian swiping his phone and said from the side. Don't bother. Wang Xian waved his hand nonchalantly and started chatting with Wang Dahai. Most of the time, Wang Dahai was explaining to Wang Xian about the matters in the martial arts world by himself. He explained the various disputes that happened in the 9 cauldrons. Wang Xian was also listening to the conversation with great interest. Later on, when they talked about the martial arts world's prodigy role and the peerless beauty chart of the martial arts world, they were even more excited. Wang Xian was also looking at the photos and discussing them with great interest. To his surprise, there was actually a familiar person on the peerless beauty chart of the martial arts world, Wandering Snow from the Yongchang world. The appearance of the 9 cauldrons made the entire martial arts world much more exciting. In the past, there were only a few 100,000 martial artists of all sizes in the world of martial arts. But now, there were close to 100 million of them. Boss, you don't know. I've seen the number 1 on the world of martial arts, city-toppling beauty. She's simply too beautiful. Her figure is simply perfect. The bell rang after school. Wang Dahai spoke to Wang Xian as he walked while spitting at him. Really? Is she really that beautiful? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. Look at the photo. My goodness, it's simply too beautiful. Ahem, Xiao Qian is here. As Wang Dehai spoke, he immediately put away his perverted smile and coughed. Su Qian and Yuan walked over with smiles on their faces. Senior Wang Xian. The two of them greeted Wang Xian with smiles on their faces. Wang Xian nodded to them with a smile. Long time no see. Let's go. I'll bring you guys out for a meal. Alright, senior. Hee. We just called Xiaoyu and she said that she would be back in 2 days. The two girls said with a smile. Yeah, she went to meet some friends. She'll be back soon. Wang Xian. Wang Xian, you're so rich. You've been away for more than a year. Where have you been? At this moment, voices came from the side. They were all Wang Xian's classmates. They greeted Wang Xian enthusiastically. Let's take care of some things. Let's go. I'll treat everyone to a meal today. Wang Xian smiled as he looked at the dozen of people in the class. They used to have quite a good relationship. Let's go. The nouveau riche is here. Let's eat with him. The group of students said jokingly as they walked out. Is that Wang Xian? It should be him. There's a photo of him in the forum. He's rather handsome, but he can't be compared to the imposing and elegant Mu Zidao and student Xian Feng. He can't even be compared to the other disciples of the Ming Wang Immortal sect. He's far from being comparable. Look at how handsome and noble our Prince Xian Feng is. He's just like a prince. On the side of the road, a few girls turned their heads curiously when they heard the voices. They commented in a judgmental manner. There was even a girl who took out her phone and took a photo to compare it with Mu Zidao on the forum. In the blink of an eye, more than a year has passed. I have a very deep impression of student Wang Xian's car. Back then, it was so domineering that it crushed 4 top-notch sports cars. It's simply too diao. Walking out of the school gate, one of the students looked at the RV beside the entrance and said with a smile. That's right, that's right. It was so cool back then. It shocked the entire school. Look, there are many students surrounding the area. Clearly, they have recognized Wang Xian's tank. As the crowd was conversing, Wang Xian turned his head and indeed saw some students pointing at his car. Obviously, the incident from that time was still fresh in everyone's mind. Is he heading towards the school gate? Yes, senior brother. I heard from a classmate that guy and a group of people are heading out of the school. At this moment, the buzzing sound of metal could be heard from the school gate. This sound was even more eye-catching than the roar of a sports car. In the school, 2 relatively cool sports cars ran out from inside. Although it was called a sports car, it was completely different from a sports car. The metal shell emitted a black glow, and the wheels were also a kind of special metal. The sharp head looked ferocious and full of attack power. The puppet war chariot is a puppet war chariot made by the Puppet Immortals sect. It's Mu Zidao and Ming Feng. In the entire school, only the 2 of them have puppet war chariots. It's simply too cool. I heard that it's made of precious materials and has terrifying attack power. Exclamations sounded one after another. All the students at the school gate hurriedly looked over. One was black, and the other was golden. The 2 war chariots were slightly bigger than the sports cars, but they were far from being comparable to sports cars. Not long ago, there was a rich man who wanted to buy a puppet war chariot for 50 million yuan. In the end, the Puppet Immortals sect didn't even care about him. Mu Zidao and Ming Feng want to show that Wang Xian a lesson. Behind the 2 puppet war chariots, 5 to 6 girls ran over excitedly. When they saw the puppet war chariot stopping beside Wang Xian and the rest, they were gloating over their misfortune. Those senior sisters actually dared to mock us just now. HMPH, I'll let them see how their Prince Charming, the most influential person in the school, was humiliated in front of Mu Zidao and Ming Feng. A few girls walked to the side and took out their phones to take a few photos. They immediately sent them to the school forum. Those senior sisters, take a look. In front of our Mu Zidao and Ming Feng, your Prince Charming, that Wang Xian, is nothing. Let me live stream for you guys. That Wang Xian looks like a clown in front of our Prince Charming. Chapter 7:12. The girl looked at her post with a smug look on her face. She edited the picture and sent it directly. After the post was edited, it immediately appeared on the campus forum. Let's go and take a look. After the girl posted the post, she gloated and looked forward. Around them, the students were slightly shocked when they saw the two war chariots stopped in front of Wang Xian and the rest. They quickly looked over. Damn it! Mu Zidao and Ming Feng went to look for trouble with Senior Wang Xian. Let's hurry over. Bastard! Do you think you can bully others just because you are a disciple of the Celestial Sect? This is bad. Let's hurry to the entrance of the school. Sai, what can we do if we go? Mu Zidao and Ming Feng are disciples of the Immortal Sect. Their statuses are noble and their strength is terrifying. They can seriously injure us with just a wave of their hands. Moreover, they won't be punished. At this moment, after the post was published, it immediately attracted the attention of many students. Seeing the information on it, many students instantly revealed embarrassed expressions. The news spread quickly in the class WeChat group, and a group of students rushed to the school gate. The first and second-year girls were very excited. They didn't expect their Prince Charming to be so awesome. Prince Charming must have seen the posts in the forum and come out to fight for us. A group of young girls thought excitedly and quickly ran toward the school gate. All of a sudden, all the students who received the news rushed towards the entrance. At the entrance, Wang Xian looked at the puppet war chariot that was parked beside them and sized him up curiously. Mu Zidao and Ming Feng, who were sitting inside, sized up Wang Xian with their eyes. The corners of their mouths curled up slightly. The few people in the chariot got off. Mu Zidao raised his head slightly and looked down at Wang Xian arrogantly. You're that Wang Xian, the so-called Dragon King of the Dragon Gate. Gulp. Wang Xian, let's not argue with them. Let's leave this place. Beside them, a few students in the class saw Mu Zidao and Ming Feng and the rest. They gulped and their eyes were filled with fear. They tugged at Wang Xian's arm and whispered. Hee hee. Wang Xian chuckled and nodded to the students beside him. Then, he walked straight out. Stop, did I let you leave? Mu Zidao and Ming Feng raised their eyebrows slightly when they saw Wang Xian ignoring them and leaving. Liang Guwen, who was beside them, shouted at Wang Xian with a cold expression. His eyes were filled with coldness. What happened in the martial arts club today had caused him to lose all his face. He was extremely furious. Now that he saw Wang Xian's cold expression, he was even more furious. That Wang Xian actually wants to leave. Looks like he's cowardly. Ha, he's really cowardly. He doesn't even dare to face Mu Zidao and student Xian Feng. They are on completely different levels. When the surrounding girls saw this scene, they revealed a mocking expression, especially the girl who posted on the forum. She was even more excited as she kept taking pictures with her phone. Her face was filled with disdain. We didn't come to look for you because of some famous person in the school or some Prince Charming. It's meaningless. Mu Zidao saw Wang Xian turn around with a slight frown. He stared at him with a condescending gaze. Today in the martial arts club, you embarrassed our junior brother and even claimed to be the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate. You are a force in the Jianghu. Since you dare to cause trouble in our territory, if we, the Ming Wang Immortal Sect, don't show our respect, everyone will think that we are a coward. Your strength is not weak, at least not below the Dan stage. We came to look for you with no other intentions. Since you dare to cause trouble in our Ming Wang Immortal Sect's territory, then let's have a spar. Loser, if you see the other party in the future, get lost. If you see our Ming Wang Immortal Sect's disciples, lower your head. His indifferent voice sounded in the surroundings and entered everyone's ears. It was obvious that he wanted everyone to hear it. How domineering, how domineering. Student Mu Zidao is simply too handsome. This is the demeanor of a disciple of an immortal sect. If only I could marry into an immortal sect. Wang Xian is also a martial artist. His strength isn't weak. However, it's obvious that he can't be compared to Mu Zidao. Furthermore, he can't be compared to the Ming Wang immortal sect. When the crowd heard Mu Zidao's words, all the girls revealed looks of admiration. There were also some girls who had helpless expressions. The high and mighty immortal sect. Senior Wang Xian was going to be in trouble this time. Your territory. When Wang Xian heard his words, his eyes flickered slightly. The territory of the Ming Wang immortal sect? In the past, everyone in Jiang City knew whose territory it was. Now, someone actually said that it was their territory. Our territory. This is the territory of our Ming Wang immortal sect. How dare you bully our junior brother in our territory? Come, let's spar. Let me see how capable you are. Mu Zidao raised his head slightly and stared at Wang Xian with disdain. This is not your territory. Wang Xian stared at Mu Zidao and said slowly. A hint of coldness flashed across his eyes. Senior Wang Xian, this is not your era anymore. Do you think it's still the same as before? I heard that Senior Wang Xian used your RV to crush for multimillion-dollar sports cars. At that time, Jiang City University was your territory. Now. Hee hee. The enchanting girl next to him crossed her arms and said with a face full of mockery. Her voice was very loud and could be heard by the surrounding people. Oh? So only by crushing the opponent's car with a luxury car can you say that this is our territory? However, this method is indeed impressive. At this moment, obviously Feng heard the words of the girl next to him. His face was full of smiles. He moved his body and got into the puppet chariot. Then I shall use this senior's method to prove that this is our territory. Huh. Ming Feng laughed out loud. The war chariot suddenly let out a loud roar. What is student Ming Feng trying to do? He is trying to use the war chariot to hit Wang Xian's chariot. The war chariot he is sitting on is a war chariot. Even a tank is not as tough as the war chariot he is sitting on. The surrounding students were shocked and looked at him in astonishment. So this is the proof. Mu Zidao's face was filled with mockery as he watched obviously Feng get into the war chariot and started up. Wang Xian stood at the side and didn't say anything. He looked at him coldly. Boom. At this moment, the war chariot emitted a faint golden glow. With a starting distance of at least 300 to 400 kilometers, the war chariot headed straight for the RV at the side. The puppet war chariot was only half the height of the RV, but its terrifying hardness and strength directly cut the RV in half at the waist. There was no trace on the puppet war chariot. Mo Qinglong, who had been sitting in the RV, had a hint of killing intent in his eyes. However, the Dragon King didn't ask him to make a move, and he didn't make a move either. However, Tian Go, who was lying on the chariot, had a fierce look in his eyes as he slowly walked out. Chapter 7:13. Boom! A rumbling sound was heard at the entrance of the school. At this moment, more than 1,000 people had gathered around the school. Wang Xian's RV was smashed in the middle, causing everyone to gasp. They looked at the beast-like puppet chariot in shock. Obviously, student Feng is too cool. Wow, I love him to death. Pitch, this is the difference. That Wang Xian doesn't have any ability to fight back. The two of them are not on the same level. He is also a popular figure in the school. He is not even worthy of carrying Mu Zidao's shoes. The excited voices of the first and second-year girls could be heard from the surroundings. The third and fourth-year students sighed helplessly. Wang Xian was indeed not on the same level as the celestial sect. He could not be compared to them at all. There was nothing they could do after being humiliated today. Roar, woof woof. At this moment, the sound of dogs barking was suddenly heard. It caused the people around to be slightly surprised. A golden figure of about 2 meters in size was standing at the spot where the RV was split open. His fierce gaze was staring at the obvious wind and the puppet chariot that he was sitting on. However, everyone in the surroundings ignored him after a glance. How is it? Is this our territory now? If you don't dare to spar with me, then lower your head and admit your mistake. Mu Zidao stared at Wang Xian mockingly. From the beginning to the end, he didn't put Wang Xian in his eyes. So what if he was at least at the dance stage? The Dragon Gate of the pugilistic world and the Dragon King? What the hell was that? Compared to him, who was at the half-step to the infant stage, and the Ming Wang immortal sect, what was that? You still have the right to spar with me. Wang Xian swept his gaze across Mu Zidao and Ming Feng, who was sitting in the puppet station. A hint of coldness flashed across his eyes. Tian, teach them a lesson. The corner of his mouth curled up slightly as he said faintly. Ha! Wang Xian's words made Mu Zidao and Ming Feng's eyebrows twitch. The people around them were also stunned. However, at this moment, roar, roar, roar. The heavenly dog's low roar was heard. Following that, before anyone could react, a terrifying aura was emitted from its body. Woof woof. It roared and pounced on Ming Feng, who was sitting in the puppet chariot. What? Ming Feng was stunned. When he saw the aura of the heavenly dog, his expression changed. The white sword in the chariot was pulled out. However, at this moment, the heavenly dog landed on the puppet chariot. It raised its paw and waved it. Boom! The entire chariot was torn apart. Ming Feng's expression changed as the sword in his hand shone with a white light. However, a dog claw swung over once again. The terrifying power caused a hint of despair to appear on Ming Feng's face. The long sword in his hand flew to the side. The clothes on his upper body were torn apart, and 3 wounds appeared on his chest. A mocking and disdainful look appeared in the heavenly dog's eyes. It opened its mouth and bit towards Ming Feng's shoulder. Ming Feng's face was instantly filled with cold sweat as the light energy on his body trembled. However, in an instant, the dog's mouth directly bit onto his shoulder, causing the light on his body to immediately dim. Ah! Ming Feng let out a blood-curdling scream as he swung his head upwards. With a wave of his dog claws, the clothes on his lower body were instantly shattered into strips of cloth. 3 more wounds appeared on his body. With a sweep of his tail, Ming Feng's body smashed towards Mu Zidao. In an instant, from the moment the heavenly dog's attack ended, only an instant had passed. Everyone in the surroundings widened their eyes in disbelief. Ming Feng, an elite disciple of the immortal sect, was actually toyed with by a dog. He didn't have the slightest bit of strength left to resist. How was this possible? Ah! Beast! When Mu Zidao saw Ming Feng smashing towards him, his expression changed greatly and he immediately caught it. However, at this moment, the heavenly dog moved. It waved its claws and clawed towards Mu Zidao. Go to hell! Mu Zidao's expression changed greatly. The long sword in his hand instantly turned pure white. It was extremely dazzling as it slashed towards the heavenly dog. Bang! The long sword collided with Tiango's claws, producing a sound of collision. A trace of disdain flashed in Tiango's eyes. With a slight force, the spirit sword directly flew towards the sky. With a wave of its dog claws, a wound appeared on Mu Zidao's body from top to bottom. His clothes also instantly split open. Tiango repeated the action of attacking with obvious wind. Its body leaped and bit towards Mu Zidao's shoulder. No! Mu Zidao's face was filled with fear. He waved his fist and wanted to smash towards Tiango's head. Tiango's eyes revealed ridicule. He didn't dodge at all and continued to bite towards Mu Zidao's shoulder. When Mu Zidao's fist landed on the dog's head, it instantly became numb. At this moment, he felt that he had ascended into the sky. Hiss! With a wave of the dog's paw, his elegant and unworldly clothes had already formed into strips. It couldn't cover his body at all. Pang! His body landed beside Ming Feng. Infant tear, it's actually an infant tear creature. Ming Feng had recovered at this moment. He raised his head and shouted loudly with a face full of shock. When the heavenly dog heard Ming Feng's cry, it raised its head slightly. Its eyes were filled with human-like contempt. It slowly walked towards the two people like a dog king. Don't kill us. When Mu Zidao saw the heavenly dog walking over, his face revealed a terrified expression. The disdain and contempt in the eyes of the heavenly dog became even stronger. It walked over and waved its paw, drawing 3 bloody marks on their buttocks and buttocks. Following that, the heavenly dog quickened its pace and ran to Wang Xian's side. It bit its tail and spun around him. Not bad. Wang Xian stroked Tian's dog head in admiration and praised him. Woof woof. Tiango stuck out his tongue and licked it. He barked and raised his head slightly as if he was very proud. Gulp. I saw something. How is this possible? How is this possible? The people around them were in disbelief, especially the girls who were in their first year and second year. They looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. What did they just see? A dog had completely defeated Mu Zidao and Ming Feng. He had easily trampled on their Prince Charming with his dog paws. He was the invincible disciple of the immortal sect in their hearts. Meanwhile, that dog was wagging its tail in front of Wang Xian. The young man whom they looked down on and called unworthy of Mu Zidao and Ming Feng carrying their shoes. Mu Zidao and Ming Feng are actually inferior to his dog. One of the girls widened her eyes as she looked at this scene in a daze. The contrast, the huge contrast. Just as they were about to watch the so-called famous person being easily crushed by Mu Zidao and student Xian Feng, they were easily killed by the opponent's dog. The two of them looked like they were in a sorry state, and everyone's eyes were filled with shock. Chapter 7:14. You can only leave after I repair my car after I come back from my meal. Otherwise. At this moment, Wang Xian's voice sounded. Everyone slowly turned their heads and looked at him. Especially the girls who were in their first year and second year. Their eyes were filled with disbelief and shock. Their expressions were very interesting. Otherwise, you guys will become its dinner. As Wang Xian spoke, he patted the dog's head gently. Woof woof. The dog turned its head and barked. Its gaze was fixed on Mu Zidao and Ming Feng, who didn't have much clothes on the ground. Once again, it walked over arrogantly with its head held high. No, don't come over. Let's fix the car. Don't come over. Mu Zidao clearly saw Tiango walking over, and his face revealed a terrified expression. It was an infant tear dog. If this dog really wanted to kill them, it would be a piece of cake. They simply didn't have the ability to resist. Tiango completely ignored them. He slowly walked over and lifted his leg. The two people's bodies immediately trembled. Tiango opened his huge mouth and directly bit on their thighs, dragging them toward the crashed RV. Ah! The terrified screams came from Mu Zidao and Ming Feng. Their bodies were trembling. Their naked bodies were rubbing against the ground. When everyone saw this scene, the corners of their mouths couldn't help but twitch. The girls who were in their first year and second year covered their faces. This was their Prince Charming. He was even worse than Wang Xian's dog. Their expressions changed drastically. In their hearts, the Prince Charming was not as good as a dog. It was easy to imagine how upset they felt. Senior Wang Xian is Senior Wang Xian. He is simply too awesome. Haha, he is too awesome, too awesome. That dog is so strong. The disciples of the celestial sect were actually knocked down to the ground without any ability to resist. You still want to spar with student Wang Xian? Just like what student Wang Xian said, you guys don't even have the qualifications. You can't even defeat the dog raised by student Wang Xian. Yet, you still want to provoke student Wang Xian? Is this your Prince Charming? Haha, I'm dying of laughter. His body is quite white. When the surrounding juniors and seniors saw this scene, the grievances in their hearts were completely released. They looked at Mu Zidao and Ming Feng, who were trembling as they stood up. Meanwhile, the heavenly dog sat on the ground and stared at them. It was obvious that it was supervising them to fix the car. Mu Zidao and Ming Feng, who were covered in dirt and injuries, were trembling as they looked at the damaged RV. Their hearts were trembling as they clenched their fists tightly. However, they didn't dare to show it at this moment. There was a terrifying dog staring at them from behind. Infant stage. His fucking dog was actually in the infant stage. Then, what was the strength of that Wang Xian? What kind of power did he have? A hint of fear flashed across their eyes when they thought of this. Let's go and eat. Wang Xian said to Wang Dehai and the rest who were beside him. Boss, you are too awesome. Yes, it's Wang Xian. Wang Dehai and the rest of the students were also shocked. They nodded quickly and followed behind Wang Xian. A year ago, the 4 second-generation rich kids were also looking for trouble with Wang Xian. The consequences were tragic. A year later, the second-generation rich kids were replaced by elite disciples of the celestial sect. The consequences were still the same. One of the students sighed slowly. His eyes were filled with shock as he looked at Wang Xian. Wang Xian had left. From the beginning to the end, he did not make a move. Everyone did not know his strength, but they knew that he was definitely very, very strong. Mu Zidao and Ming Feng, 2 powerful disciples of the celestial sect, were not qualified to spar with him in his eyes. His dog had completely defeated the 2 of them. It was obvious who was superior. The one who was not even qualified to carry his shoes was not Wang Xian, but a high and mighty disciple of the celestial sect. Everyone looked at Wang Xian's figure and thought to themselves. He was still as mysterious and powerful as ever. The girls who were in their first year and second year looked at their Prince Charming who was standing beside the RV with his ragged body. He no longer had the haughty temperament of a prince. He was not even comparable to a dog. On the contrary, the figure that had left became even taller. When they heard the ridicule of the surrounding seniors, their faces turned red. As for the girl who had been updating on the forum, her face was extremely pale. Many people knew her name on the school forum. She could already imagine the mocking gazes and gazes of the people in the future. She stood there stiffly and looked at her 2 miserable bodies. She held the phone tightly in her hand. Boss, you are simply too strong. A dog has the strength of an infant stage. Oh my god, I'm worse than a dog. Walking on the ancient street, Wang Dehai said excitedly to Wang Xian. Dehai, if you are worse than a dog, then what are we? You have already joined the celestial sect. A classmate beside him said with a bitter expression. Comparing people is so infuriating. Wang Dehai shook his head and said with a dispirited expression. What kind of shop is that? At this moment, Wang Xian looked at the shops around him in astonishment. Puppet shop, fitness shop, martial arts book shop, martial arts club. Wang Dehai's gaze swept across the shops and said, these are all shops opened by the immortal sect. There are puppets, elixirs, secret cultivation manuals, and teaching martial arts. When the immortal sects merged with the world, they also needed money to buy mobile phones, computers, and other daily necessities. Hence, some immortal sects opened their shops and sold some things to ordinary people. Wang Xian nodded his head slightly. Although the immortal sects were good, many things were not as powerful as they were in the modern world. For example, mobile phones, computers, kitchen utensils for daily use, refrigerators, and a series of other items. They needed to purchase all of them. This was a huge expense for them. Hence, Immortal Sect opened a shop to sell elixirs, dregs, and medicinal liquids that were not even level 1. Although they were useless to martial artists, they were of great use to ordinary people. If they wanted to, they had to spend money to buy them. The changes are really fast. Wang Xian sighed slightly. Yes, in a year's time, our world has undergone tremendous changes. Wang Dahai also sighed slightly. All of you wait here for a moment. I'll go and call my girlfriend. When he arrived at the entrance of the first-grade pavilion, Wang Xian said to Wang Dahai and the rest. Then, he walked to the Divine Dragon Clinic at the side. Sun Lingxiu stood at the side with a smile on her face. She was now half a step away from becoming an immortal. Her body exuded a holy aura that made people feel ashamed of themselves. Her perfect figure was dressed in simple white clothes. Lingxiu, come and eat. Wang Xian waved at Sun Lingxiu. All right, Xiao Xian. Xiao Hong, come and eat too. Sun Lingxiu nodded and said to the bloody miracle doctor at the side. Yes, it's master. The miracle doctor immediately walked out with a big smile on his face. Oh? Wang Xian, this is your girlfriend. Isn't your girlfriend? When Sun Lingxiu walked out, Wang Dahai and the rest were dumbfounded. Chapter 7:15. Hello, I'm Sun Lingxiu. Sun Lingxiu saw the shocked expressions of the students behind Wang Xian and greeted them with a faint smile. Sun Lingxiu's smile was like an angel's smile, causing everyone behind Wang Xian to be stunned. Hello, sister-in-law. Everyone nodded their heads and greeted enthusiastically. The girlfriend of Little Fairy that you guys are talking about should be Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue. I am one too. In fact, there is another one. Perhaps there will be another one soon. Sun Lingxiu smiled slyly as she held Wang Xian's arm. This. Everyone was completely stunned. They knew that Guan Shuqing was Wang Xian's girlfriend. They were not sure if Lan Qingyue was his girlfriend. Now, another one had appeared, and there was even one or two of them. Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue were the goddesses of Jiang City University. In terms of beauty, they felt that the beauty in front of them was even more beautiful than Lan Qingyue and Guan Shuqing. Awesome! In an instant, the way everyone looked at Wang Xian changed. Wang Dahai kept giving him a thumbs up with a face full of exclamations. Alright, let's go in. Wang Xian rubbed Sun Lingxiu's hand, causing her face to turn red instantly. She glared at him. Wang Xian chuckled and let her tease him. Welcome. As they walked into the shop, the welcoming voices of the guests could be heard. The two guests at the door were obviously new and didn't know Wang Xian. Boss, you're here. It was the cashier at the front desk who recognized Wang Xian and said in surprise. Where's Manager Huang? Wang Xian nodded and asked her. I'll go get Manager Huang. The cashier immediately walked toward the back office. Soon, Manager Huang walked out. His eyes flickered when he saw Wang Xian. He walked over with a smile and said, Boss, you're finally back. Yes. Wang Xian nodded. He had not been in the shop for more than a year and the staff had changed a lot. Prepare the largest private room and send some dishes over. Wang Xian said to Manager Huang directly. Boss, the largest private room has been reserved. Manager Huang was slightly stunned when he heard Wang Xian's words. He said with a frown. Tell them about it. If it doesn't work, give them some discounts. Dahai, bring them in first. You know the largest private room. Wang Xian patted Wang Dahai's shoulder. All right. Wang Dahai nodded and waved to the students behind him with a smile. Then, he walked upstairs. Boss, I'm afraid it won't work. At this moment, Manager Huang suddenly said. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and looked at Manager Huang. Boss, the people who booked the seats today are from the Puppet Immortals sect. Manager Huang frowned and said. No matter who the other party is, find an excuse and tell the kitchen to prepare some dishes as soon as possible. Wang Xian said directly to Manager Huang. Then, he brought Sun Lingxiu upstairs. Manager Huang opened his mouth and revealed an embarrassed expression. He walked into the office with a gloomy face. No one knew what he was thinking about. Xiao Xian, Manager Huang's expression has changed. At this moment, Sun Lingxiu suddenly said to Wang Xian. Yes, it has changed. Sun Lingxiu was a light attribute cultivator. She could see many things from a person's eyes. With Wang Xian's strength, he also noticed some changes in Manager Huang. However, Manager Huang has followed me for more than 2 years. As long as there are no mistakes in principle, he will be in charge of this restaurant. Okay. The two of them walked into the private room and sat at the dining table. They started chatting with their classmates. They talked about the interesting things that had happened in the past year and the disciples of the Mingwang celestial sect. When the dishes were served, everyone was very happy. Bang bang. Boss. At around 8 o'clock, Manager Huang knocked on the door and walked in. What's the matter? Wang Xian looked at Manager Huang and asked. Boss, the disciples of the Celestial Puppet sect are here. There are more of them and they insisted on having this private room. Manager Huang frowned and said to Wang Xian. Didn't you explain it to them? Wang Xian frowned and the smile on his face disappeared. Manager Huang, have I made my decision? Tell your boss to hurry up. At this moment, an impatient voice came from outside. The door was pushed open and 2 young men in ancient costumes stood at the door. There was a hint of impatience on their faces. All right. Master Ping, please wait for a moment. I'll make it available for you immediately. Manager Huang hurriedly said to the young man outside in a flattering manner. He turned his head to look at Wang Xian and said, Boss, they are from the Immortal sect. I will get someone to check the accounts of the time I left for more than a year. If there are no problems, I will give you a few 100,000. If there are any problems. Wang Xian interrupted Manager Huang and looked at him coldly. Now, you are no longer the manager here. Get out. Boss. Manager Huang's expression changed drastically when he heard Wang Xian's words. His expression changed drastically as he turned to look at the young man outside. When Wang Xian saw that Manager Huang was actually asking for help from the young man at the door, his eyes turned even colder. I say, you are the boss of this restaurant, right? The 2 young men raised their eyebrows slightly when they heard what was said. They stared at Wang Xian as he walked in. Speak. Wang Xian looked at them and said coldly. We are the disciples of the Celestial Puppet sect. As the 2 of them spoke, they raised their heads slightly and revealed a superior expression. Boss, they are from the Immortal sect. We. Manager Huang squeezed out a smile from the side. It was obvious that the world had changed in his opinion. Currently, the world belonged to the Immortal sect. The reason why he dared to disobey Wang Xian was because he had a good relationship with the disciples of the Puppet Immortal sect. He didn't know that Wang Xian was the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate. In fact, none of the first-grade pavilion's employees knew about it. They only knew that the boss had great influence in Jiang City. However, that was in the past. Things were different now. Now, the Mingwang Immortal sect and the Puppet Immortal sect were the kings of Jiang City. This is my restaurant. Wang Xian said to them coldly. Haha, interesting. When the 2 young men heard Wang Xian's words, they didn't get angry. Instead, they smiled and walked towards Wang Xian. Do you know whose territory this is? A young man dressed in ancient costumes smiled and stared at Wang Xian mockingly. It was the same sentence again. Whose territory is this? Whose territory is the current Jiang city? This was the second time Wang Xian heard this sentence from a disciple of the celestial sect. It seemed that he, the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate, had been away from this place for too long. This is not your territory. Get out. Wang Xian looked at the two young men and said expressionlessly. Kid, you're acting too big. How dare you chase us out? The two young men stared at Wang Xian coldly. Today, get out of this private room immediately and prepare some dishes for us to serve. That's right. As they spoke, the corners of their lips curled up slightly. Let the few beauties in the room serve the dishes for us. Chapter 7:16. Get the beauties in the room to serve us the dishes. The two young men in ancient costumes stared at Wang Xian with a look of disdain and said in an overbearing manner. Boom. However, at this moment, the bloody miracle doctor who was sitting at the side started to move. His hands landed on the dantian of the two young men in ancient costume without any hesitation. The powerful force caused them to fly out in an instant. The two young men, who were still acting cool a second ago, flew out in the next second. The arrogant smiles on their faces had yet to disappear when their faces turned stiff and they vomited blood from their mouths. You want my master to serve you food? The bloody miracle doctor's cold voice was heard. Bang! The two young men fell heavily on the wall with a loud bang. Boss? They are the disciples of the celestial sect. Manager Huang was stunned for a moment before he shouted at Wang Xian in a low voice. Who is it? How dare you beat up the people of our celestial sect? You are courting death. At this moment, 7 to 8 people came in from outside. They looked at the two young men in ancient costumes who were lying on the ground with a cold expression. Their eyes were fixed on Wang Xian and the rest. They moved their bodies and were about to attack. Cripple them all. Wang Xian said with a solemn face. All right, a bunch of trash at the Xiantian level dares to be impudent here? A look of disdain appeared on the bloody miracle doctor's face. Now that his strength had reached the half-step infant stage, it was a piece of cake for him to deal with a bunch of Xiantian experts. Boom! 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 Ah! The bloody miracle doctor turned into a blood-red shadow and instantly, screams of pain could be heard. The disciples of the puppet immortal sect widened their eyes in shock. Their dantian had been crippled. They dared to attack the disciples of the puppet immortal sect, especially here in Jiang City. They were simply courting death. Boss, you actually... Manager Huang's face was also filled with fear. His face was instantly covered in cold sweat. Throw them out. Wang Xian stood up slowly and said to the bloody miracle doctor. All right. The bloody miracle doctor nodded obediently. You actually dared to cripple us. We are the disciples of the puppet immortal sect. You guys are done for. You guys are done for. The group of young men were still filled with disbelief as they shouted loudly. Kiki, puppet immortal sect. I've been wanting to beat you guys up for a long time after seeing you guys flaunting your might. The godly doctor of the bloody figures smiled sinisterly and immediately tied them up. Dahai, you guys can eat here first. I need to settle some matters first. Wang Xian said to Wang Dahai and the rest. He gave Manager Huang a cold glance before walking down. Sun Lingxiu also smiled at Wang Dahai and the rest before following them down. When the students saw this scene, their faces turned stiff. Dahai, Wang Xian is actually crippled. He crippled a disciple of the celestial sect. Will something happen to him? In the room, the students looked left and right with worry on their faces. Nothing will happen to him. All of you don't know Wang Xian's strength. Nothing will happen to him. Wang Dahai's heart was beating fast, but he still said with a smile. Wang Xian was a little impatient with what he had encountered today. He was also very disappointed with Manager Huang. The word "whose territory" made him feel very interesting. He took out his cell phone and dialed Elder Qin's number. Little brother Wang Xian. Elder Qin was a little excited when he received Wang Xian's call. He asked tentatively. Elder Qin, sorry to bother you. Wang Xian revealed a smile on his face. No. I'm already very happy that little brother Wang Xian didn't forget about me. Little brother, you have disappeared for more than a year. When are you returning to Jiang City? Elder Qin said loudly in a carefree manner. I'm in Jiang City now. You're already in Jiang City? Where is little brother Wang Xian? If you're free, come and meet me, this old man. Okay. Wang Xian smiled and pondered for a moment. Elder Qin, I'll have to trouble you with one thing. Send a few accountants to the first-grade pavilion now. Also, Elder Qin, please inform all the martial artists and aristocratic families in Jiang City. I'll prepare a Dragon Gate banquet tomorrow. Dragon Gate banquet. Elder Qin was slightly shocked when he heard Wang Xian's words. The Dragon Gate banquet would be held for all the martial artists and aristocratic families in Jiang City. Alright, brother Wang Xian, don't worry. Leave it to me. As long as the martial artists and aristocratic families are still in Jiang City, I will give them an invitation card. If the location is at Old Man Shui's 5-star hotel, how about it? Elder Qin said loudly. Yes, that's fine. Boss Qin, I'll see you tomorrow. Alright, I'll see you tomorrow. It's been a long time since we last met. The accountant will be in the first-grade pavilion in 20 minutes at most. Wang Xian hung up the phone and revealed a smile on his face. Beside him, Manager Huang's face turned slightly pale when he heard Wang Xian's words. His eyes were sparkling. Dragon King's banquet. In a villa in Jiang City, Boss Qin sat on a chair and muttered, the current Jiang City belongs to the two immortal sections. The Dragon King of Dragon Gate has returned. Perhaps, the miracle will continue. Elder Qin knocked on the table and stood up immediately to prepare for the Dragon Gate banquet tomorrow night. The Dragon King had returned. The King of River City had returned. Wang Xian sat in his office and pondered. Manager Huang didn't come in and left the first-grade pavilion with a guilty conscience. Wang Xian didn't stop him. An ordinary person wouldn't be able to escape. If not for Manager Huang's meritorious service, he would have been lying here long ago. With the appearance of the 9 cauldrons, some ingredients with spiritual energy are already available. Although the first-grade pavilion is still the best restaurant in Jiang City, it is already very ordinary in the entire Huaxia. Furthermore, there is no need to keep this first-grade pavilion open. Wang Xian looked at his computer and clicked on the messages. Since he could open a shop in the 9 Cauldrons world to earn money, he might as well start his own business. It would be a profitable business. Wang Xian smiled. Alchemy and crafting. He could open an alchemy and crafting shop. He could only undertake the crafting of elixirs above level 6 and spirit weapons above level 11. To Wang Xian, this was a huge profit. It was even more lucrative than going to the immortal sect to rob. Give the employees here a repatriation fee and close the first-grade pavilion. Wang Xian made a decision in his heart. Just as Wang Xian was thinking, the accountants sent by Old Qin arrived. Wang Xian asked them to check the accounts of the entire first-grade pavilion. If Manager Huang was clean, he would give him a sum of money. However, if he was greedy during the 1-year period when he was away, he would make him cough up all the money. The 4 accountants kept checking the accounts. In less than half an hour, all the accounts were out. There was a huge problem. Wang Xian shook his head slowly. He made a phone call to Old Qin and asked him to handle Manager Huang's matters. There might be a lot of people coming to the Dragon Gate banquet tomorrow. I wonder how many martial artists still respect him as the Dragon Gate. I wonder if there will be other people coming tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it. A smile appeared on Wang Xian's face. Sun Lingxiu, who was at the side, walked over and gave him a gentle massage on his shoulder. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.